Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chapter 8 of the Werewolf the Forsaken campaign, Very Angry Dogs, with storyteller Chris Allen. We are joined today by the typical cast of characters.
To be fair, would he be entirely wrong?
We're going to hand it over to Chris now to give us our usual little rundown. Chris, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, no, hello. It's been a couple of weeks, so I've got to try and remember everything that was happening last time. Welcome to Very Angry Dogs, a Werewolf the Forsaken game set in Dorset, featuring a bunch of American reprobates trying to carve out and hold their own territory in a land of British folk horror and lots of cider. The as per usual, content warnings for body horror, visceral violence, and general carnage. The pack last time ran into their greatest foe, namely legislation and taxes, as the brutal hammer of the British HMRC came down to point out that there may be some money due based on this massive inheritance that Johnny Galloway has received. The pack have started to prepare for the impending financial doom that may be coming for them, with plans including looking at how to renovate and perhaps turn this massive estate into some source of revenue for the pack. Now, as part of that, various things were going on. We had the pack meeting with their traumatized wolf-blooded pack member, Mary, who had had something explode out of her chest and out of her throat, which wasn't very nice for her, which was what attached her to the pack. They convinced her to sort of move to the estate with them. They then set into the brutal hard work of the paperwork and getting all the inheritance stuff sort of handed over to the people who were coming to claim it. They started to dig into who they could shake down and rough up to try and get off some of the money they might end up owing, digging into local council a bit, and finding both someone who might in fact be quite helpful rather than a target, and someone who they considered to be more of a target. And I am trying to remember where I wrote the chap's name down, but we do have it somewhere. Anyway, after a bit of shenanigans on Johnny's part, getting close to the guy and learning something about him, the pack also faced... what else was there? There was another thing. There was something critical, and I can't quite remember what it was. But there was the wolf-blooded. The pack are also beginning to look into the what became of the families who were in the cottages that were originally so it's a big estate, has a bunch of cottages. Now, traditionally, what would happen on a big estate like this is the owner of the estate would be renting those cottages out long term to families, and this was what was happening. But apparently, about 30 years ago, Great Aunt Clarice booted them all out in some sort of event that took place. The pack have some suspicions that there may have been wolf-blooded among them, especially because she was an Ivory Claw, and therefore interested in maybe getting some of those families back in, paying rents and revenues, and to keep an eye on who the fuck they are and if they are wolf-blooded. So yeah, it was something of an what you call a lull in the roller coaster of the pack's life. A session spent more on trying to dot the I's and cross the T's, dig into some of the details of what was going on, and learn a bit more about their territory. One thing that's going to happen after this story as well, if we go on with the game, I will be putting together a bit more detailed thing for the players to do with your territory, both Gleesham and the surrounding landscape, because I've got details on it. I just need to rejig them and write them up in a way that will make sense for you, given you'll then have had time to potter around them a bit and learn a bit more about them. Right now, we had finished off 2 or 3 days before the intended date of the pack meet, with the pack having handed off various things to the inheritors thereof from a Great Aunt Clarice's will, including the family matriarch, who some bridges have maybe been being built with, Sykes Caldwell, who some bridges were maybe being mended with, about the horses in the stable, and of course Dunstan, who bridges were not only burned, but the foundations were being knocked down, those were being set on fire, the river was being dammed so that they could then be fully buried, and then salted the earth with great effect. So that's...
I think there was napalm involved too.
Yeah, that's more or less where we'd left it. So the pack had discovered various things. You are now a pack on your territory with a totem who is learning more about his new domain as well. You have 3 days until the pack meet. You have several things on your list. Last time we finished up, and part of this was from the session, some of it for people who hear what I'm about to say and go, wait, I don't remember that. We had a bit of a chat afterwards about like, how the pack might consider going about their targets and next goals. So the key things that I'm aware of that are on your list, apart from the trophy meet itself, are tracking down the former families who were renting the cottages. Trying to the other big thing. So Cornelius, the somewhat corrupt councilman, was possibly trying to track him down where he's going to do possibly dodgy stuff at this Amber VIP club near Yeovil. That wasn't a high priority, but I know it is on your list because you've identified him as a potential weak point, shall we say, person who can be leaned on, and someone who seems to be in hock to Hawkhurst as well. And trying to scope out the possibility of giving Dunstan a serious beatdown on the day of the meet by first doing an intel gathering hunt to scope out, is he actually shit hard, or is he a viable target to be given a demonstration beating in front of everyone else? What exactly are you going up against here? And perhaps to learn a bit more about the Misghasts themselves. So that's my understanding of where we're at with 3 days and counting. General stuff, I'm going to presume certain generalities continue over these 3 days. So when there is spare time, I'm presuming that people are continuing to clean up debris and rubble and hack back things. I'm going to presume that, unless specifically does come up, or things you want to bring up, I'm going to presume that Stormbringer continues trying to work the glass and learn more about how to do that, and maybe grab a driving lesson or two with Mary. I'm going to presume you are generally looking into info on the generalities, what you're looking after on those 3, and looking at your territory and learning more about it. But obviously that's background stuff. It's what you guys want to bring into the fore in these 3 days. Now, from an OSC point of view, before we get started, my rough intention here is we're going to probably do about half the session prior to the pack meet and then half in it, but we can shuffle that around as we need.
So just one thing in those generalities, just things we're going to kind of address as we go. We had a discussion as a pack out of game, actually around a fire, ironically enough, which is something that our pack seems to do quite a bit. I actually spent the day splitting firewood, getting in touch with my inner Stormbringer. We had a discussion about it and decided that we were going to definitively have this meeting at Kestrel Hall. And Jack has come up with a bit of a plan again to try and get into the head of the Pure. He wants them very much realizing that they are on predator territory and not prey territory. We're not a game trail. We're where the bad things live. So in that, Jack has kind of decided, and the pack has agreed that it's a good idea that we're going to do this in the barn, the old barn on the property. We're going to kind of get it set up for this. When they come, there are a few things that we want to have, but our kills will be splayed out as kind of a here's what we have, try and prove you're better than us, rather than letting them, oh, that's nice, now here's what we brought. It's kind of one of these, we're going to lay the cards right out on the table and be like, this is what we are, this is who we are, and this is what we bring, and if you think you can do better, now is your time to try and prove it. Again, it's all about the head games. Where they're gonna, everybody's gonna kind of walk in and realize that we're not, sheep in wolf's clothing. We're the wolves in monster clothing, and that's kind of been agreed upon. So Jack is gonna spend a couple of days working on the barn, getting that straightened up, getting that kind of set for it. Might even do a rough chimney eave cap so we can have a fire in the barn without smoking ourselves out, kind of thing. So we can do these, get the rituals and whatnot where somebody driving past won't see them if we're doing them, but still be able to do them the way we want to.
Yeah, the estate is wildly big enough and wildly overgrown enough with trees and things that you can, where the barn is on the farmland area, you do not need to wait. So one thing in this kind of landscape is, first off, hedges. Hedges are everywhere. They are big and they're thick. The other thing is there are then copses and rows of trees around the place. Line of sight from on the ground here, if you're not on a hill, is relatively limited, because there's slightly undulating landscape and there's all these hedges and all these trees. So you do not need to worry that much about, while someone might get up on a hill and look down and see there's some fires in the barn, people are doing stuff. Unless they're sporting, spy and telescopic gear, they're not going to be able to see that the figures going in and out of the barn are in Dalu form or something like that of a night,
Okay, perfect. And then, so one of the things I want to do, and guys, or actually, I should say, Johnny, it's really up to you because it is technically your house. We are house guests. Is I think that I want to kind of set torches along the line to the barn. Um,
Fun.
Again, going for that whole ritualistic. Like the barn is going to be where the pack operates. The house is going to be where the human side of us lives. But the barn is where we operate as a pack. Again, especially if it's the kind of thing that we're going to be renting. We're going to try and rent out the cottages and whatnot. We want people to be able to come and go to the main house to talk to us about, oh, hey, such and such is going on with the cottage. We need help, or can you fix this up? We don't want them coming in and being like, wow, there's like fucking dead animals all over the house here. What's going on? So the barn is where we'll operate, and that'll be where all like the equipment's kept. So there's no reason for any of the renters or anything to even come there. And then so it kind of gives us our own little haven to do our wolf shit. Right, we could even. That's the thing. If we do enough ritual stuff there, we could actually probably build it into a second locust on the property. Locust on the property.
So, actually, speaking of humans that we don't necessarily, I'm gonna go knock on Mary's door and completely forewarn her that big bad werewolf shit might be going down tonight.
Well, in a few days. Yeah.
In a few days.
So Mary, when you let Mary know about all this, first off, she's like, okay, she treats it with to demonstrate the. She treats it as roughly the same way as if you said, we are going to build a high explosive homemade bomb in the barn, and this will go totally fine. And she's expecting a bunch of elves to, she'll be surprised if the barn's standing at the end of it, That said, she has some thoughts that she can, when you sit down, like at the beginning of one of the days coming up, and you're like, okay, right, okay, over your coffee, okay, there's all these werewolves are going to come here, and we're going to be having a meeting in the barn. It could get frisky and all that. Apart from her saying, "Are you sure the barn is going to still be standing at the end?" She'll try to go, well, the barn. Last time I looked, the barn had been clean. It's old, it's dilapidated, it's not in great condition, but it's clear of anything apart from some old rusting farm machinery that looks like it last saw use in the 50s. If you clear that out of the way, it should be fine for a space.
Yep.
So they're coming here for for a meeting of some sort, this gathering, right? For Clarice.
It's a trophy meet. They don't think we're big and bad enough to hold down the fort.
So Chris, if Mary's actually officially a member of the pack, shouldn't she be involved in this meeting anyway?
This is a pissing contest.
And as Keith says, there's an interesting question here. How much do you want her along? So the thing about Mary is that she knows that werewolves exist. She knows a moderate amount about werewolves, but limited within the overall society, and she can detect them fairly well. So do you want Mary involved? Because among other things, if you guys are all in one thing that might come to you, if you guys are all in that barn, right, then anyone could go fucking around on your territory, and you have a wolf-blooded who can sense werewolves. So if anything, she might actually be quite useful in the arrangements. Currently, she's more interested. So is it a party? You say no, it's not. Well, do you need to get like drinks and snacks and stuff?
Well, we should.
This is a hand.
So just drinks then.
So I think so, and I'm assuming we're all just sitting here, kind of talking to Mary, going over this.
Yeah,
sure.
All right, so I'm gonna Stormberger's gonna speak up. We're not just hosting our enemies; we're also hosting our friends. I'm trying to remember their name. I'm sorry, Stormbringer Wood. I do not at the moment. Hold on, let me pull up my notes.
Wardens and
the Spear Wardens and the Galley Crows.
Fairfax Dogs, yeah.
Weren't the Galley Crows also a?
Galley Crows are pure.
Pure.
They are pure. Okay. So the other two packs, we have two potential allies coming as well, and we'd like to show them hospitality. They're not the one. We're trying to show them we're a strong ally to have in their corner. We should still have a degree of hospitality shown as well.
Okay, well, I mean,
I plan on taking fresh game to treat our guests with.
If these weren't werewolves, and obviously it's a bit late now, I'd normally suggest we get some nice invitations printed out and sent out to them, maybe personalised a bit.
Not that.
But But at the very least, then I guess you should make sure there's drinks and things on hand, right? So what kind of things do they like to drink? So should we be going sparkling wine in, or cider, or do you want a sort of a little mini bar kind of setup?
I think
What's
a
in
bar is
season?
probably the best option.
Bar.
I mean, just a couple of trestle tables, really, with some drinks on them. But in
yeah, a
this
couple,
short
few
we can-
kegs of beer, ale,
But look,
whatever.
if you give me more notice about this kind of thing in future, we can get a proper thing set up and everything. Obviously the barn's not in the best condition right now for doing like decorations and things, but this is nice. Oh, there's no reason to invite people over and then stick them in a dingy barn and give them White Lightning cider that's 2p a litre or whatever, is there? You want to make a nice impression on people.
Jack is gonna smile in that like she's adorable, that she's trying to do like a fancy dinner party when he's planning on killing one of them at dinner, or at least kicking his ass through the dinner table. So he's got that kind of like sick and twisted, you're adorable smile on right now that should probably be slightly offsetting to her.
Well, look, so John, you're saying that so should I be off? Should I be somewhere else that evening then, or?
So, like, out of game, my concern is if, like, one of us, or if anybody dev rages and goes rampaging across the property, she's a target. Like, I'm fine with werewolves, because we know what we're getting into, but she's like a wolf-blooded that's, like, aware of us on the side as a tangent.
So
But
I don't
she's
want her
also-
off the property.
No.
But she's also good to have in that
You
she
should
can let us know
stay within the house. Keep it locked up, but keep your eyes peeled. I want to make sure no one's poking around where they shouldn't be.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess.
Well, I
can
was
do
thinking,
that.
just side note, I thought if we have like a side by side, one of those like off road kind of, well, not a racer, but one of those like off road utility cart things, that maybe she could kind of be, I don't want to say patrolling the territory.
I turned to Jack on that one. How much money?
No,
do
that's
I have?
Pete. That was not Stormbringer. That was. Do we have something
I know,
like that she?
but
No,
it'll be a
no, but I don't
fantastic
think
thing to do in game.
I don't think that's a bright idea anyway, because then they're aware of her, and that just means they'll kill her before they do anything they want to do. They don't know we
Good point.
have a wolf-blooded living with us at the moment, so they'll
Good
think
point.
if the three of us are accounted for, there are no other eyes on the property. If she's in the manor, our sense will mask hers to some degree, and
Speaking of which,
she'll just be able to keep eyes out.
all right, I'm
So
gonna
then-
have to spend a lot of essence. I'm gonna be in the shadow on the property grounds proper. I'm gonna try to make deals with spirits to keep an eye out on the day of the trophy meet for shenanigans.
Okay.
So there's,
So,
there's kind of two things I want to do the day of the trophy meet. Thing one, I want to summon another storm. Thing two, what? Don't laugh at me. I do. I want to
know
summon
you do,
another
that's
storm.
fine.
I want. Look, that is our thing, right? That is what we've used to get into people's heads. Okay.
Oh my god.
Thing two, and this is more of a thing for Mary, so this is actually going to be an in-character thing. I'm going to look at Mary. I want you to get walkie-talkies. 2.
Okay.
I want one to have an earpiece. One of us will be wearing the earpiece during the meeting. If something is going on, we know, but the rest of the meeting doesn't know we have eyes on it.
Okay.
This
yeah.
way, I don't want a cell phone ringing. We're leaving cell phones. We'll leave the cell phones turned off. This way you can communicate with us that something is going on that nobody else is aware of.
Cool.
If something should happen.
I can order like something like that off of Amazon or whatever. It's not a problem.
Perfect.
So, things that you got. So we've got an attempt to basically nail down some spiritual support. Are you going to go into? Are you going to pursue Operation Scout Out Dunstan and the Misgasts?
Yeah, we're going to be doing a Sisker Da,
Yes.
the first night, and then it'll be active for the 3 days.
Okay. So I'm going to give you some information about what you know. Okay. He's a member of the Misghasts, right? They're a pure pack who seem to be all or largely Ivory Claws. They are to your southwest, in the southwest part of the Vale, where it's just before it rises up to the Dorset Downs to the south. They're about 5 miles away from the Fairfax Dogs as well. They're in a village. Well, they have, you have heard that the heart of their turf is a village called Lee, which is a small. I don't know what the population is. It's just another. It's a small village. It's only a few hundred, probably not even 1,000 people in the parish. But that is about all you know currently. Yeah. So you know the village that is meant to be the epicenter of their activity, but that's as much investigation as you've done in the past, and as anyone's told you. So if you want to do the hunt, you're gonna have to think about how you plan to then hunt. What's your?
I'm going to be using Dream Hunter. For
Okay.
sure. I will likely use it every night leading up to the meet. And
Okay, remember that if you break off the hunt by doing other significant things, well, if you do other things that aren't towards that, you will break the hunt.
So that means I can't go make deals with spirits.
You're going to have to be quite focused on getting that done essentially, and the others doing other stuff will sideline that to some extent. Only to some extent, because you could argue that, for example, Stormbringer working on the barn is somewhat akin to setting up the killing ground for the eventual showdown with the guy. Although this is more a hunt for the intel, isn't it? This is for you're purely trying to learn
the hunt
the
for
secrets
intel,
and
correct? Yeah.
So so you're going to have to be careful about that, because as soon as you guys then start doing major other stuff relating to trophy meat, you'll break the hunt off.
So, in terms of that, like I know you said because it's an intelligence hunt. That the setting up the barn for this meeting may be quote unquote significant progress away from that. And my argument would be, if nothing else, Stormbringer is setting this up as an interrogation ground. If we can't get the information by being sneaky, I'm going to beat it out of him. So I'm still going to get our information. He's setting this up as he's setting up as an interrogation room. He's setting up the intimidation factor so that he's off his game, so that he lets things slip. He maybe says things he normally wouldn't. It gives us an ability to gain a little more information that maybe we wouldn't have.
And the same argument can be made for what Johnny's doing, because he's having the spirits keep a lookout for things like their numbers, and if they have additional agents that are going to be in the shadows when they arrive. And
I'm willing.
We could also be making those deals with the spirits to get information about deeds they've done. Spirits like telling stories.
There's a bit of crackle on thing there. I'm willing to go with Stormbringer setting the thing up as the ground for the end of the hunt, as it were. For defensive spirit band pact to guard the area, I wouldn't go with that though.
Okay, so
spirits that you are asking about the Misghasts, that's a bit different. But just a general eye network is not.
So then what we'll do is we'll launch the Siskerdon the second night. That gives you Thornbreaker tells Johnny, you have 1 day and night to do what you need to do, and then we start the Siskerdon.
That's fine. I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna try to use the Unconquered Raven as kind of leverage. If there's bird spirits, I want to use him towards influencing them towards what I want them to do.
Okay, so you so the day you're spending a lot of it in the shadow, you're crossing over. I'm just gonna find this. I'm just looking at, for those who don't know, Shadows of UK. It's a fantastic book from first edition, but it's also got some very interesting about this to some of the spirits and things, which is quite worth looking at. You are crossing over, and when you enter the overgrown, and it is still looking wildly overgrown, even with the work you've done in the flesh. It hasn't had much of an impact on the shadow. The shadow of the estate itself is still wildly overgrown and quite desolate still. There are very few spirits in the shadow here, because this was ground zero around the lair of a very high primal urge werewolf. No one wanted to fucking be here. In terms of looking therefore for eyes, you're really looking at the perimeter of the property itself and beyond. Not the territory, but the property, because this
the property itself. Yeah, exactly. I'm not leaving the spiritual property.
This means you are venturing slightly out of the safe zone. You have the Unconquered Raven with you, who flaps, and this gold and silver and black plumage flaps and keeps pace with you wherever you are, alighting on trees and stones. But you you rapidly get the sense of this could go, this could go sideways if you're unlucky. If you're cautious, you should be fine. And Johnny's a cautious Iraka. But
if that's the case, then I would say Thornbreaker. Why don't you go with him?
Thornbreaker is going to use this day to do something he needs to do that would break away from the Siskar Da.
Gotcha. Okay. Then I'll go with him because I'm not really. There's nothing in my plan for the next couple of days that is going to break our Siskar Da. I'm going to stay back. I don't want to interfere with his sneaky.
Mhm.
I'm going to hang out on like the edge of the safe zone.
Yep.
This way, if he does need help, I can be there as soon as he needs it, but not interfere with his operations. I'm trusting that he can do it. I'm trusting that he's sneaky enough and he's going to be able to handle it. But again, we're going in places that if things go unlucky, he may need backup.
So, you've got some muscle in the form of Stormbringer with you. So, there beneath the fulminating, bleak skies of the shadow, the weather in the flesh hasn't been great either. It's cloudy, though not blasted landscape here of the estate and into the wildlands beyond. The wall around the estate in the shadow is a creaking, crumbling mess. It's not very solid, yet it is still nonetheless very much observed by most of the local spirits who didn't want to risk angering the old wolf. The Unconquered Raven, again, keeps near you, higher up, gives some better vision, but doesn't have all of your senses. It's occasionally giving you sort of reports. I see no danger here. So you pass beyond into the woodlands and field, not really the agricultural fields, the wildland rather than the farmland. What, are you looking for birds, you were saying?
Yeah, like spirits that might be within the Unconquered Raven's court. I'd rather you try to go with them just because we have a totem.
Can I have a wit plus either survival or occult roll?
Occult's better for me, so it's going to be that. I kind of need this to succeed. Where's Very Angry Dogs? There it is. So I'll be spending a point of willpower on this one. Oh wait, sorry. I think I grabbed the wrong roll. One success.
Okay. After some searching around, again, the spirit worlds here are quiet, but not desolate. The trees here are coming into more life as spring progresses, and there is a sense that perhaps the spirit world here are almost waking up. The trees are these twisted, odd-shaped things, but occasionally rifts in the bark split open to look at you with eyes of amber and sap. They don't make any particular trouble for you, at least. But
You cut out.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
The Unconquered Raven does warn you away from certain copses of trees that it says may be hungry.
Okay.
Too long to find a bird spirit. And perhaps one of the reasons you were easily able to find this one is that it is part of the day when its flesh counterparts would be asleep. You find a spirit that's probably of owls. It is sort of 3 feet tall, a sort of a mess of legs underneath, all gripping to the digging into the sap bleeding branch of a tree spirit. Various wings folded in around it, and as you approach, you think it's got the rough outline of an owl, complete with a head. It rouses itself from its somnolence as the Unconquered Raven speaks and goes, "O owl spirit, those who follow me seek to speak with thee. Do me the honor of hearing their request." And the eye opens. I say eye, singular, and it's not where you expect the eye to be. Rather, the body sort of peels and puckers back to set a huge single eye, owl eye, in the midriff and torso. Glances at the Unconquered Raven. Amber eye then turns to look down at the 2 werewolves in front of it. And gives a
Chris, I'm hanging back. They'd only see Pete.
Sorry?
I said I was hanging back.
Right.
I was hanging back at the edge of the safe area. So I'm letting him handle this, but I'm there if he needs me.
Yeah. It looks down at Johnny and says in a sort of slightly sing-songy voice, it's inhumanly kind of piping and fluting, which is slightly unnerving. I will listen to you, werewolf. I will hear your words, half-breed thing of flesh and spirit. What do you come before me with? What do you seek?
So a couple of things are going to matter for this. One thing that's going to matter for this interaction. I still have the symbolic focus condition, so
Right, okay.
my effective spirit rank is 1 higher
Mhm.
for interactions. I don't know what it is normally. It's probably
1 or 2. Critically, though, you get an exceptional success on 3 rather than 5 as well.
Yeah, and because this is still technically our territory,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Yep.
So I do get the benefit from the rite that we perform.
Yeah, +2 to empathy and politics and normal Ken. But. So it's asked you what you wish to ask of it, what your case is.
So it was asleep basically, right?
It was asleep
Or-
until the unconquered raven turned up, and then it woke up.
First, I'd like to apologize for waking you from your slumber tonight, but I have a service I'd like to request of you. And perhaps a new land that you and your brood could dwell on. The old wolf is gone, and I've inherited her territory and her estate.
We have heard this, but we are loath to believe it, lest it is untrue. We do not wish to perish for lack of wisdom.
She is dead. I've seen the body myself, and the territory is mine through both human legal means, through fleshy legal means, and through the rights that your kind recognize.
What do you seek?
We seek for you and your brood from, I'm going to use the term moonrise, so 3 moonrises from now, right, basically, to dwell in our territory and let us know if there are any intruders other than the locations we're allowing them into for that night.
The head part on the owl that has no features turns, while the eye on the torso continues fixed on it. You seek us to watch for those who harm you. You seek us to guard you from ill fortune.
I nod.
Hmm.
And if you do if this is well done, I do not have any qualms towards using you and your brood to further secure the lands.
Okay, I am going to want a... no, actually, first we need to go. What do you offer us for this service?
So, I'm going to offer essence up front, and then, like, perhaps crafting, type like a owlry or something, you know where their physical reflection can roost. So that way they have a source of essence on the property that's of their kind.
Okay, can I have a presence or manipulation, depending how you feel going about it, plus probably persuasion check to convince the owl to sign up? Or if you have other checks you want to do first to try and get him into
No, I'm just gonna have to eat this penalty,
Okay.
Unfortunately. So that's gonna be another point of willpower. Just want to
Okay.
make sure. It's poly. Could be persuasion. All right, that's 2, 4. Okay. All right, boys. Wish me luck.
Good luck.
do the thing.
Do the thing.
Doing the thing, boys. Nah. All right, that's a point of willpower gone.
Any successes?
Nah, 1.
Okay. It
None,
listens
rather.
to you for a while as you state out what you want, and in the same fluting voice says, We cannot know from your words alone whether what you say is true about the old wolf, about threat and danger. We understand your desire to be protected, but you are werewolves, rejects and outcasts from this world. Nonetheless, we will accept the burden of danger of watching for you, but the cost, the price, the Gathra must be great. We have many broodlings to feed, and we must build many nests. Therefore, we will do this for you on two conditions. The first now is feeding. We need essence. We desire essence. We will take a great bounty of essence. That is what we will ask for the payment of first. The second is this. There is a man. He takes the eggs of some of us. He thinks them prizes. Hunt him and kill him. The first price must be paid for us to watch for you. The second price can be paid afterwards, but your word is your binding, and the shadow will know if you fail to see it through.
Alright. Well, good thing the locust is restoring essence right now, because this is going to suck otherwise for me. Alright.
Okay, so are you agreeing to his deal?
I turn to the Raven, to the Unconquered Raven, partially because, A, it's going to... Are you comfortable with this?
The mission is not mine, it is yours. However,
Oh.
I would caution you thus. To take on the task to kill anyone is a meaningful purpose, and must always be considered with great care. No death should ever be an afterthought. Any killing must be with purpose. I cannot tell you to take this pact or not. I only advise caution. We may be better, though few will be as capable. The owls see. They do not merely see the now, they see the past, and they see the to be. There will be few watchers better than this spirit for what you have in mind, who can be gathered to our side so quickly. But you may be better served looking elsewhere for lesser vigilants who, nonetheless, come with less dear a cost.
Very well. I will consider your offer, Spirit, and I'll return one way or another with my decision.
Okay.
And I turn to the owl. What is your name? So I know who to ask for.
We are the Unblinking Watchers.
Okay.
Right. So,
And I
is
will.
sorry, Karen.
So I'll go back to that. There's one more spirit I'm thinking about asking, and Dan's gonna hate that I want to go to the river spirit. At least it lives on the river. Kind of runs
Who do you want to get?
through
Oh, the river spirit.
through the actual property,
It
or
doesn't
not
run
really?
through the estate, it runs by the edge of the estate at one point, but it runs through the territory overall, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't want to make a big decision like this and the potential Siskadra without going with the pack, so I'm going to, even though this could have earned me a point of willpower back for Wallflower. Anyway, I'm going to head back towards Stormbringer.
Okay.
Were you successful?
Got a potential deal worked out. They're going to want a whole lot of essence because they are not convinced that the old wolf is dead. I'm not much of a people, not much of a people person or spirit person. On top of that, they want us or me to kill someone who's been stealing their eggs.
What do we know about the person who's been stealing their eggs?
I don't know much, but
did you agree?
No, I haven't agreed. I'm just gonna run it by you two before I even
Good.
said anything.
Well, before you bring it to Thornbreaker, find out who this person is. Find out what there is to lose by going through with the deal. Come with all the information.
Yeah.
All, because then all we'll be doing is deciding blindly.
So, I guess just if I can get a description from the spirit of what,
Yes, so a bit
what
more
the human
interrogation of
looked
the
like?
spirit. It appears to be talking about, we'll say, a human in the flesh doing this to the owls, some of the owls in the region. It has a description of the man, which is balding guy, you guess probably from what's in his 50s maybe, wearing the kind of clothes from what it's describing the plumage he wears, and you kind of figure out what it means, and you go, okay, it roughly describes something you think is just someone, walker in the country would be wearing. The important thing it's able to give you is a couple of locations in the flesh, which, on a bit of double checking, match up to some areas. There's a place nearby called Bishop's Glees, which looks like maybe the site of an old monastery. It's saying there's a woodland, little area of woodland there, and there is another area called Bagbalidlinch, which is a hamlet and some farmland nearby. Again, looks like there's a woodland there, which whoever this is has been taking possibly rare owl eggs from those two areas. But that is as much as it can give you. It doesn't have a name of the egg taker, of this fiend in human flesh. It only knows baleful things about this figure who is taking eggs.
That's enough for me to work on. So I'm gonna head back to.
What else? So we don't have the time to find out who this person is today.
No. Oh,
what else did you have in mind for watchers?
There's the river spirit on the edge of the territory. It doesn't run through the territory, but at least it gives us one edge of it. And
Thornbreaker won't be happy about that.
No, he won't. But
he'll live.
At least it's somebody who already is on the territory and has a vested.
He's a blood talon. He's a blood talon. It means stronger territory and stronger pack. He'll put aside his own personal reservations. Have you thought about the Coloplexy? He has trees here. He has stake in our territory. He may be willing to watch because it's mutually beneficial to him as well as to us to keep an eye out over the next few days.
That is true too.
Why don't you go speak with him?
Yeah, so...
He's not in dangerous territory. We know how to get to him where you can be safe.
Yeah, I'm assuming...
Why don't you go take care of that and come back?
Or there might be a new, smaller Coloplexy where we put the orchards down, but I'm going to go... Oh, no, we can't. Because we made a deal with him, and we haven't established... We made a deal with him to even come here, right? To plant more... We were going to plant 5 more trees. And I don't think we're allowed to ask anything more of him until after we fucking put down the 5 more trees. He broke your fingers for this.
That's right, he did. Do you know what the answer is then? Go buy 5 more fucking trees and then invite him here. When you invite him here to see that we've held up our end of the deal is when you tell him you now have an orchard here as well. We ask you to help us watch it over the next few days while we deal with our own affairs.
I'm going to go see...
Take Mary, take the car, and go buy the fucking trees.
Okay. Doesn't have to be trees, but it has to be cuttings at least. All right, I'm going to see.
I turn and head back to the locust to come back out of the shadow.
Okay, so you two are now switching your target towards getting the trees sorted.
Or at least it can be cuttings too, right? It doesn't have to be proper trees.
I mean, you can literally go to a garden centre and buy a bunch of young apple trees without too much hassle and plant them down. You could do cuttings, but it'll take a while. Mary won't be massively happy at being the mule for this, and her car once again being crammed full of weird shit. But it's perfectly viable.
What, we don't have like a pickup truck or something on the farm?
Nope.
No.
We have no car. We've discussed
we had a Land Rover and we crashed into a river.
So maybe at some point over the next day, you can also talk to Mary about maybe finding an old beat-up farm truck that we can use. Because if we're going to start renting the property, we're going to need something to be able to do maintenance.
And no, Johnny, we didn't have a Land Rover. We
Who's
had a
the-
liability, and I took care of it.
Who is the old guy, the old groundskeeper?
Albert.
He's still around, isn't he?
He's not turning up at the moment. You've got his number if you want to bring him back on for work. But for now, he's done his stuff to finish up on the.
Tell him we have a job from the day. Pick up 5 trees. Pick up 5 young apple trees. Bring them by. We'll pay him for the day's work.
Yeah.
Then
Okay.
you don't have to worry about taking care of that. When he's done with the day's work, we go get the coloplexy.
Yeah. All right.
So we'll
And if I remember correctly, he was actually pretty decent at dealing with the tree cuttings. So he should be able to pick us good healthy trees.
you two are sorting that out. I'm going to switch over to Thornbreaker for a bit while this is also going on.
Okay, so Thornbreaker's plan for the day, when Jenny comes to walk the dog, he's going to ask her to accompany him into town to pick up supplies for the dog, which will be a ruse for him to try to get to the root of why she's so nervous about going into the town and to sort of suss out exactly how much of the spirit world she may or may not be able to glean and why people refer to her as a witch.
Okay, that's completely workable as a general statement. And if you suggest that too, so when you suggest that she wants to go in town with you to pick up the supplies and things, she's obviously nervous, but she's trying not to show it. Can I please have a presence or manipulation, depending how you go, tackle it plus persuasion roll to get this plan rolling, as it were?
Sure.
To overcome any,
So you said presence plus what?
presence or manipulation plus persuasion.
Plus persuasion, okay. So it's 3, 4. That's 4. I'm actually going to use my voice of glory.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to cost me 1 essence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it will add my glory, which is 3, to my persuasion. So that ends up now being 7 dice. Four successes.
Okay. So you sort of you're able to sort of go, no, don't you talk her through it in a way it's all perfectly natural, nothing odd and untoward is occurring at all. You're not trying to get to the bottom of anything. It's all completely just you want the stuff in the dog, and in such a way that she, should we say, rather than attempting to override any objections she has, what you talk to, you seem to manage to rather calm some of the nerves a bit, right?
Sure.
About what it is, you don't know, but your easy pattern way of speaking has made her feel a bit better. So her initial reticence and nerves about it seem to fade away. She's still not ready. She's not going to make it evident that that's a thing either. She doesn't want to address it directly because she doesn't want you to know about it. So you're able to talk her into it. So a little while later, you'll be in Gilcum, which is the modern centre of Gleesham, looking to get pet supplies, I guess, and things for the dog. So what was your plan for how to tackle this attempt to get to the bottom of whatever's going on then? How are you going to angle yourself into this? Going to town, it's a slightly drizzly day, grey little town, not a lot to recommend it right now. You're in the high street of miserable, crappy little shops.
Right. So the first thing he's going to do is he's going to kind of get them lost on purpose a little bit. Of being like, even if she's like, oh, the store is this way, he's going to be like, I think I know a shortcut, just to sort of take the long way around and basically see as much of the town as possible with her. All the while, he's going to be sort of keeping a half a lookout across the gauntlet to see if there are spirits nearby, and then see if I can make like an empathy roll, see if she's responding to them, if she sees them, if she averts her gaze, like if she's able to divine any of that.
Wits plus empathy. Remember, you get a +2 because you're on your turf to the empathy roll to someone because it's a resident of your territory. So yeah, wits plus empathy roll, I think, for this.
That's going to be 6.
With the 4 successes, no problem getting lost intentionally, or otherwise trying to, set up a gauntlet to run her through, essentially.
Sure. 1 success.
Okay, so you you guide the wolf-blooded on your little magical mystery tour around town, and a couple of things rapidly become evident. The first is when you do occasionally see spirits in Twilight, and they mostly don't hang around when they see you; they move away. She doesn't appear to be reacting to them at all.
Oh, you cut out. You cut out.
Okay. She is not reacting to spirits in Twilight at all. She is reacting to people. She is not like she's terrified of the people in general, but she is watching the crowds and the people carefully, as if looking for looking warily for someone or someone's specific.
Okay. All right. So the next thing he's gonna do is, as they're walking, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry this is taking longer than I expected. I seem to have gotten a little turned around. I'm a little peckish. Are you in the mood for something to eat?"
Sure, if you're buying.
He nods. What's your favorite snack?
God, whatever, 14.
Ice cream, girl. Whatever, sure. Basically, I'm going to try to use this almost as an equipment bonus to further put her at ease and try to extract information from her, because people who are eating their favorite food tend to be a little more pliable.
Yeah. Okay, so you snap down in out the front of a small, cheap cafe/fiery place. So it's just bog standard, hearty, greasy food. You wouldn't want to go here if you had heart conditions. Let me put a fairly solid,
sure.
Plate of stuff that's been fried into oblivion. So yeah, what do you want to? What are you going for now?
So he's going to now try to gently broach the issue of who she's looking for, who she's expecting to see that is making her so uncomfortable.
Okay. I'm going to give you... So, this is obviously going to be manipulation plus persuasion. I will give you a +2 equipment bonus because of your setup so far, including the food and so forth. But I'm going to give you a -2 penalty, equaling out as those, because you are trying to do something that is... You're trying to push her to... No, actually, no. Rather than the penalty, the better way to do this is a social maneuver. So let me just double check. So basically, it's rather than giving you a penalty, there's an increased number of doors to break through on this.
Sure.
I like the setup, Dan, by the way.
Thank you.
Well done.
So yeah, I think there's going to be a few more doors to it because it's not something she massively wants to talk about, but there isn't a penalty to your dice roll, I don't think. I will just double check. It's been a while since I cracked out the social maneuvering roll. Social roll.
Just gonna look at Voice of Glory here. Alright, so we get Voice of Glory here. Does not apply to this one, okay. In that case, I'm going to be using a point of willpower on this one.
Okay.
And that'll bring me up to 7 for the roll.
Okay.
Alright. Wish me luck, boys.
It's not 5 dice, you're fine.
True. Not the cursed 5.
2 successes.
Okay, so I have a question. Are you using Voice of Glory?
I am, but I didn't think it applied to manipulation.
No, but it has a fundamental thing of improving the first impressions as well from First Bread, which is
Gotcha.
thingy there. So it's relevant because it affects how often you can make this roll, strictly speaking. So you got 2 successes. So after talking to her for a while, you sat down together for about an hour chatting away and things and talking about life in general. She lives in one of the little hamlets that are the outside on the edges of Gleesham. Mum and dad, pretty mundane sounding people, nothing wrong at home by the sound of it. Whatever's going on doesn't appear to be a home life thing. And after nudging and moving the subject along back and forth in a fairly natural way, you come to the point of what the fuck's going on with her reticence around town. Who is she worried about? Sort of some partial information. That it seems that she's there are some obviously bad experiences for her in town with a group of people who are what would be the best phrase for this? So it's not kids, it's not teenagers, it's nothing like that. The implication you're getting from what you're saying is, first, you're like, it sounds like some people are picking on her when she goes to town. There's actively people looking out for her and making her life less than great. After some digging into it, as much as you're willing to talk to you about in a moment, it comes out that kill them all. That it's not kids or anything. It's not like a teenage gang, or there are some like that in Clesham. She appears to be having issues, and it's with some adults who are not like, there's not like a patrol, nothing like they're watching her, but there's some people who, when they see her, are going out the way to make her life miserable in some way. She's not quite willing to make it clear how or what, but she says there's a group, and she calls them there's a group. She says it's quite a specific group, which, not that she's running into them in numbers, but rather there's a group of people who are working together in some way, and you can't quite get out of her. Like, she just says, "Oh, they wanted me to do some stuff that I didn't want to do, and they don't want to take no for an answer." Now, because you are using Voice of Glory, if you keep paying the essence into that currently to maintain, no, actually, don't. You need to use it once. So, if you want to spend another hour, if you can find an you're supposed to be going in. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah. If I can find an excuse.
If you can find an excuse to keep talking to her for another hour, which is your next social maneuver interval with her in town, then you can get another roll, essentially, to try and break through another door.
Okay. Yeah, so he's going to say, I'm guessing they haven't even gotten the supplies yet. So as they keep talking, they'll go pick up the dog supplies, and then he's going to say, while we're here, we actually also need some supplies, because I think we're going to be planting some trees, and I think those knucklehead buddies of mine don't even have a goddamn shovel, so we're going to have to pick up some supplies to actually plant some trees, if you don't mind hanging around for a bit.
And then you're presumably keeping on talking to her about whatever it is that she's, town. Just because now she's willing to tell you that she doesn't like going to town because there's a bunch of assholes who treat her badly because she doesn't do stuff, and you're trying to get to the bottom. Presumably in a kind of concerned adult, like, are they, what are they trying to get you into? Is it drugs? Is it something else? What are people doing?
Right.
So now you can use presence or manipulation.
Now I will use presence. Yes, so that's 3 and 4. And
you
then
are no longer getting the
applies.
equipment bonus, because that gave you the breakthrough in the first place, but now you're not getting the bonus.
Alright, so that gives me 7 dice. 3 successes.
Okay. So after some more, basically, you buy the stuff, you're walking off with shovel over shoulder and the bags and things, and on the way back on the path meandering amongst the fields, she kind of ends up, you're asking, obviously concerned about what the hell is, she's having a problem with a group of adults, what the fuck is going on, because that is quite concerning, even outside of wolf-blooded werewolves. And eventually she kind of gives her, like, the dam breaks a bit on the way back. She's come to trust you enough that she sort of snaps, almost not angrily, but in a kind of, she hasn't been telling anyone, she hasn't been talking to people about this in general. I've obviously been keeping it under wraps. When the dam breaks, it kind of comes out, because you've gone through both of the doors. You only had 2 doors on this, so they're these weirdos, right? They belong to a, I don't know, what do you call it? Like a cult? They're called the Oozers.
Oozers?
They're Oozers. They're like religious wackos, but they're not like, whoever it is. Who are the people who knock on your door and try and tell you about Jesus? They're not like those guys, right? They got something in their heads about right and wrong and good and evil and all that, right? And they think they're the ones who can judge that and should judge that. And they've got it in their heads, right, that I'm meant to be part of their little cult. okay, for reasons, and she doesn't want to say about the reasons exactly. She's still holding back on that, but you think it's probably because she's wolf-blooded, and that's
Sure.
whatever's going on. It's like they want me to join their little cult, right? And when I said no, and I've had nothing to do with them, they didn't take it very nicely. And because I didn't, that means I'm a bad person, Like if I joined them and said you'd be good, but because you're not, you have power to do good things for them, but you're not. So therefore, you're a witch or an evil person or whatever, right? Anyway, they've got it in their heads. Sorry?
Hey, Thornbreaker, I personally request to be involved in kicking the shit out of these people. Because I think I had the first interaction with Jenny, and I liked her then. And if people had given her trouble, yeah, not flying with this guy.
They think there's... For whatever reason, right, they think they're the good guys, but they're not. I don't think they are. I think they're just self-absorbed, stuck-up assholes who think that it's their right to judge other people, right? And they're obsessed with me because I guess and you can tell she's probably certainly lying. I was in the right place at the right time or whatever for their wax scheme. Again, it's almost certainly something to do with the fact she's wolf-blooded. And they won't. It's not that they won't leave me alone in general. They'll be careful about what they do, but they won't leave me alone if I go into town and they see me. And some of them watch. I'm sure I've seen, and again, you get the impression that she's now struggling with what to say and what not to, because she doesn't think you will believe her. And she's going, yeah, I think some of them, some of them have watched me, been watching the house at home, and I'm worried. I don't want to tell my mum or dad about it because I don't want them to be worried, but so yeah. And then she kind of shuts up, looking a bit sad and sullen.
Is it? He tries to do it almost nonchalantly, but it's like, is it because they know you can talk to animals?
Of course, at that point, she looks at you in a kind of a mixture of emotions, and then says, "I don't know what you're talking about."
Chris, just real quick, can you jog my memory? How old is Jenny about again? I forget.
About 14 or 15.
14 or 15.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. I thought you knew that I knew.
She does the thing where she opens her mouth several times to speak, but can't quite decide which answer to give, so doesn't give any. Just looks like she's being a fish a little bit while she tries to figure out what to say. Yeah, well... Yeah. Eventually, she just gets as much as yeah, and
I figured.
Leave me the fuck alone.
He sticks his hand in his pocket and keeps walking. It's not that uncommon,
And there's been. And when you say it's not that uncommon, she looks at you like what? You're not going to say something like "You're a wizard, Harry," now, are you?
He shakes his head no. No, not exactly.
Thank God for that.
But it's a birthright thing.
The only thing my mum and my dad ever inherited from my grandparents was some rather tatty old silver, and that was it.
He smiles. Sometimes it skips a few generations.
The users think it means something for them. I don't know why. I don't know what the fuck some cult of weirdos want with me when I can chat to freaking. I can. She gestures in a kind of helpless way. What? Why do they care? What does it matter to them? But some of the things. There's been animals. Animals I can't talk to. I can't believe I said that. It sounds like a fucking idiot. You must think I'm mad.
Like the horses in the barn.
A bit. They just weren't very nice.
Yeah, I know.
There's been dogs I can't talk to, like proper.
Like,
and then she thinks about what she's just said and winces, blushing furiously, like I am such a fucktard kind of thing.
Again, he's keeping as smooth a countenance as possible to not set her off.
She's constantly ready for you. She's expecting you're going to turn around and go, haha, pranked you. I don't really believe about the whole animal thing. So every time she says, I can speak to animals, she feels like she's making herself really vulnerable and is expecting ridicule and some sort of, something to go wrong, if you like.
Like the wolf you saw in the woods.
She looks at you, not as alarmed as the first time you said something concerning, but again looks concerned. Yeah, the dogs, not wolves, as dogs, but
he scratches the back of his head almost sheepishly and says, "I know why you can't talk to them."
She waits for any sort of revelation to follow.
You can't talk to them because they're not proper animals.
Yeah, that makes a certain amount of sense. Because, see, one of the oozers... I might as well say it. It's not the most ridiculous thing I've said today. Pretty sure one of them turns into animals. She's waiting for you to say, that's stupid.
He pauses for a moment and then he says, "What kind of animal?"
A dog.
He actually he tightens his fists so hard that his knuckles actually crack slightly, and he goes, "I appreciate you trusting me. Can I trust you?"
She pauses, gets her shit together, looks at you scrutinizingly and goes, "Well, look, I'm like 14. I'm a kid in Dorset. And I may be going completely mad because I can talk to animals. So I don't know if you can trust me." No. She says slightly sheepishly.
"Do you believe in strange, unexplainable things beyond the fact that you can talk to animals?"
She looks a bit nonplussed. I don't really understand what you mean. Like, there's a lot of weird things happening.
What if I told you that werewolves are real?
She shuts up and is... At first you want, like, is she doing a sulky teenager thing? As you're walking back, getting closer to the stage, like staring at the ground. Has she just shut up because she's had enough of your shit, old man? But you think she is thinking, and she is thinking very, very hard, possibly in a recalibrating assumptions kind of way. And she doesn't say anything else for the rest of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get to the estate, she drops the stuff off and busies herself sort of putting some things away. And then there's a moment where she's sort of standing there staring into space. And then she just says...
Would we all be back at the estate yet?
You guys are currently busy with tree shenanigans, which we'll get to in a moment.
Okay, just where we all were.
Yeah. She looks at it, goes... and says, not blankly, there is a great deal of thought going on, but it obviously hasn't quite come to a conclusion yet. And she goes, "Thanks for listening. I guess I'll come again for the next walk." And then she leaves without saying more. Not in a hostile shuffling off.
Right. I gave her a lot to digest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Meanwhile, in Land of Trees. So having rang up Albert, who is like, it's time to make some time for you to. He's got a free day, so he says, okay, he has a chat to Johnny on the thing about some payment. You've got your run dot of resources to try and pay the guy for a day's work. That's not too bad, and the apple trees won't cost too much.
So I picked trees that are specifically good for ciders.
Yep. So sometime later, he basically rolls up in his van. Goes, All right, sir, we got some trees for you, and he sets up, with the trees, and by by the time he's got there is he's got his shovel out and stuff, and he's going to plant you some trees, which takes a good chunk of the day because even 5 smaller saplings is.
I'm gonna help him out, and as we're working, Albert, you've been here a long time working for my great aunt, right?
Oh, are you best here for being here for a good few decades?
So, I heard 30 years ago she evicted all the families living in the cottages. What do you know about that?
Well, it was quite a thing at the time. See, your great aunt flew into a right rage one night, and I never got out of her what happened, what set her up. Weren't my place to ask, lady of the house. She went out. She went out in a.
Go on.
She actually just more or less booted them out of the cottages. Now, it weren't quite as simple as that because you can't just kick someone straight out of the house with no comments. But she went out. She told them that she was kicking them all out, and apparently said some very unpleasant things to them. As if she was like a woman.
You're cutting out a bit. Oh. Yeah, you cut out.
Oh, we lost him for a second.
Sorry.
His mic was.
Yeah, it did a proper cut out there. I don't know why.
Oh.
She. What did she do? She said some right unpleasant things, and she told them they all had to leave. Now there was some time she gave, she had to give them to leave. But after that day, when she went out and told them all to go, she basically shut herself up in the mansion until they were all gone, right? And she wouldn't listen to rhyme or reason about it for anyone who tried to talk sense into her. I can't say what exactly it was, but she was. Everyone was confused. No one understood what they'd done to cross her like that. But she seemed to be absolutely livid about something.
Did she have a lot of people frequently in the estate before that incident, and did they suddenly stop coming afterwards?
Well, I'd say. I'd say that I'd say yes, that it was a marked point, in her becoming a lot more insular, a lot more a lady to herself. Now, see, before that, she had a lot of friends in the area. Of course, some of them, passed away from old age, and some of them. She had some good friends and family members who were claimed by accidents and the like, and I think that were shortly after 2 of the closest family members passed away, actually. Let me have a quick look at my notes. Where is it? Yeah, Henry and Arabella. They were her closest friends and family members, and they both passed away shortly before that.
Henry and
Arabella. No, and so she was working on. About then, she started setting up things like the glass house she had commissioned to be built. And then it was shortly after that she went into rage, and after that, she was just a lot more of a lady to herself. She was still involved in local things, although it took a while before the ripples of that night kind of died down. But the locals, the people in the cottages, they moved into local towns, local villages. Most of them. Some of them moved further away. Some of them seemed as mystified as anyone else as to what happened. A few were a bit more tight-lipped. I think maybe some words were said in anger, and they felt very hurt beyond the simple practical realities of being kicked out of their homes.
Right. So I'm planning to try to restore the estate to its former glory. That includes the cottages. I was wondering, do you happen to have a list of the families who are living in the cottages at the time?
We're probably in the old lady's notes somewhere, in the old account books if she kept them, if they're still around somewhere.
Good idea. I didn't think to check that.
So you work on setting the trees up, and after a few hours, you've got the holes dug, the sapling set, etc., etc. So, come later in that day, after Albert's finished getting them planted, and he makes his excuses, and he takes his payment and leaves. So we come towards the end of the day with the pack gathered by your new row next to the trees with the cuttings attached from the orchard. Are some new little saplings in a row in one little corner of the estate, as the pack gather once again, essentially. If you have any debriefing of one another you wish to do, now is the time to do it. I assume there's a certain amount of this stuff is told to one another. But if you have anything you want action on now, because the other thing you need to do is deal with the Colopexy this evening before you declare your hunt.
No,
so,
Thornbreaker is just going to tell them about the presence of the oozers and say that he's going to look into it a little more before he gets them involved. But at a certain point, he thinks there is a werewolf among their number. He's assuming it's pure, but he doesn't know, and they're going to have to do a little more digging.
Did you tell us they were threatening Jenny?
He said that. So he told you that they're trying to get Jenny to join them. She hasn't wanted to, so they've made her feel uncomfortable. But he states that he needs to do a little more digging before we take action on it. And he says that he has carte blanche told her werewolves exist, has left it there to let her digest, and that he eventually intends to. He basically expresses his intention to bring her into the pack.
So when you mention that they are giving her problems for this, Stormbringer is going to take the axe, because I'm assuming we're just kind of meandering around the barn cleaning up while we're talking.
Yeah.
He's going to take the axe and fling it into the wall because he's pissed. Because he likes her and he doesn't like people being bullied, and shares with me a little bit of this whole, we're the protectors of the people in our territory. We want to bring her in the pack. People are giving her problems, especially wolves, on my territory, and that ain't going to fucking fly. So he's pissed and is going to let you do your research first, but there is no way this is going to fly, regardless of what you come up with. He's pissed off.
In the aftermath of this brutal physical demonstration of Stormbringer's distinct pissed offness, you hear your totem's voice. It sounds like the flapping of banner fabric, but it comes on the rustling of the leaves, and
I like it.
And it says, "He's here." It says he is here, and then you hear the thump clack of hooves on mud, on earth, packed earth nearby.
Welcome.
I was immediately going to run and grab that axe. And we heard the familiar sound. I'm like, oh, okay, we're good.
The voice echoes out through the trees from the direction of where you planted the trees. And good eve. Good eve. A good eve it is. You've done what I asked. You've given what you had to give. Hope the fingers have mended well.
I hold up my hand.
And appearing from between trees, as it does, the Colopex is approaching the barn where you are. It's not moving too far away from the trees that you planted, but it's approaching the barn.
I'm gonna walk to the trees and meet him on the territory we've agreed upon him having free passage through.
The looming horse thing. Looking down, you get the smell of the spirit stuff, the stench of beast and rotting apples.
I'm gonna shift to Dalu just because I don't like things looming over me, so that gives me a little more height.
Yeah. He's still looming over you, but less so at this point.
Jack doesn't like things. The Stormbringer doesn't like things looming over him. So I'm gonna shift
tosses down a step stool and steps up on it.
I stand on a stump. Stormbringer, I speak for the trees.
Just two tall guys doing tall guy things.
It's a good start to an orchard. I hope you'll make it flourish and grow.
Indeed. However, there's a possibility that their orchard may be threatened soon. We have agreed that this section of our territory is as much yours as it is ours. We have business to attend to in the next few days that will require our attention. So I would ask that you keep a wary eye on our shared lands and alert us to anything going on that requires our attention.
It nods, one of its heads. You know, there's a price, of course.
Always.
Tell you what. You want to have your little gatherings and all that, and have me watch for trouble, that's fine, I'll do that. This is my duty and my nature. But you'll have to have a drink for me. Get you some kegs of last year's harvest. Aye, cider. Plenty of places as man sell it and as have gathered and crushed and turned those apples into the life-giving fluid that it is. Given it precious love and attention and turned it from one thing to another. Turned it from trees, flesh to revelry made real. Get yourself some kegs of that and serve yourselves and your guests that. Drink it down. That'll be price enough for me.
Is there a particular orchard you'd like us to use? One you prefer over others?
It's gotta be from the land round here. Not here, but
Done.
in general. Something of
Understood.
the liquid flesh of the Durotriguez, taken from the land of small stones. Aye.
Understood.
Smiles.
I offer my hand so he can break my fingers again if he chooses. He seems to like to break my hands. I'm offering it as a handshake. If he chooses to break them or shake it, it's his choice.
He clasped it in one meaty, massive hand and shakes it this time. I'm breaking. You'll need that hand to drink with.
Indeed.
Leave not a drop. Leave not a drop.
With the ability to drink with both hands.
Leave not a drop in the barrels by morn.
I might have to call some of the old gang for that, but it can be done.
We're gonna have to get blitzed.
Well, 'tis a fine evening. So I'll bid
Indeed.
you good night. And gives a little jig and steps behind a tree and is gone.
I smile at the jig because I'm really starting to enjoy the fact that he gives us a jig every time. He's just this great, jolly old spirit, and I really kind of dig that.
I do mention the human stealing owl eggs and how I kind of also want to take care of it because he's pissing off the local spirits and I'm a hunter of darkness. He is doing shit on my territory that I don't like.
Johnny, I told you to do something, didn't I?
Yeah, but
before you
afterwards,
brought this to us.
We're gonna investigate it. That's
not what I said. What did I say?
Find out more information.
And then bring it to us.
Oh, we already shared.
So, I presume now then the pack are going to gather themselves up to declare Siskadar on Jonathan Dunstan.
Yes.
We're going to abstract some of this up a bit once you've done the right, because we're skipping over a couple of days of, and it's information gathering on the broad rather than specific. There's a couple of bits we'll get into with the dreams, and then we'll have the mid-session break, and then we'll come back for the next part. So,
at the thought of just that we're starting this Siskardar, Johnny Jack's entire demeanor changes. He is now all smiles in the most terrifying way possible.
Jack, I just want to watch Stormbreaker hunt his
Chris,
dreams.
I'm going to willingly take. I don't know if there's a tilt. Like anything social I have to do with humans, I will take a negative against because he is in like full serial killer mode. Mm-hmm. Like he is hyper focused on doing one thing and one thing only, and it just is giving him this very perverse pleasure because I hate that man.
Yes, okay. Jack now also does a jig.
Sacred Hunt.
Jack now does the same jig the Coliflex he just did because he is giddy.
Now, we've done the Sacred Hunt with you before, so we don't need to go over the fine details. The key thing that is... Are you changing any of the details in your Sacred Hunt from... Because it was you who did the Sacred Hunt last time, was it?
He's the one who called it on the...
on the Rafnir. Are you changing any details?
I will just include some of the symbols of on whoever the target in this ceremonial hunt is. I will paint in blood the symbols of the ivory claws.
Okay. So
In this particular one, Dan, I know I was the target of playing the part of the wolf last time.
We can make
in this
it
particular
Johnny
one,
this time.
I am not the target, and I will not use the axe on him. But the axe is intended to be part of this whole thing as far as Jack is concerned. So it will be at least represented somewhere in Jack's participation in the ritual.
So
The whole splitting of wood and whatnot was very
Since
important to
Johnny
this.
is playing, since Johnny is playing the target before we get started, he just flips both of you off. And he's like,
and Thornbreaker, like, he doesn't outwardly say it, but like he picked up on the whole tension between Jack and Johnny, and so Thornbreaker looks really amused when he tells Johnny that Johnny's going to be the would-be prey in this scenario.
we're going to go through the modifiers now. So gather your base dice pool.
Just real quick, so the audience
Auspicious
knows
Moon-
also. I had a little sidebar with Johnny. He does not. Jack is not. Stormbringer is not mad at Johnny at all. He is getting to the point of being hyper focused on Jonathan Dunstan, and doesn't want anything to go wrong in any way. So things that are not going according to the way he's seeing it, he's getting annoyed about. So, like, I told him to find information about this owl guy because I didn't want to even think about this right now. And he brought it anyway. And so he's a little ticked off about that. So,
Anyway,
just so people know, it's not friction. I'm not mad at Pete.
sure.
So modifiers. Your auspicious moon is not in the sky, and just for reference, it's moved into the crescent moon now. It will be no moon on the night.
wouldn't it be a half moon?
No, because a lunar month is a full month.
okay.
It's a full cycle from one to the other. You're 2 weeks in from the full moon. You're halfway through the cycle, which is the no moon, the new moon.
Oh,
think.
shit.
Yep, that's right. Your tribe. So no, you got +1 from tribe, which I believe you symbolically involved last time. +1 if everyone's a Dalu. +1 for shared symbology. So that's 3. Have you figured out a way to involve the totem in the rite in a way that draws on its symbolic nature?
I had a thought about that.
Okay.
We could either, one of us carry the standard of the Unconquered Raven into it, especially because all of ours seem to involve beating the shit out of each other. And then when the target symbolically dies, we plant the standard next to their quote unquote dead corpse, and it's the conquering of that target.
Sure. Done game.
That's good. So that's +4 dice in total.
Okay. And then because we're doing this as sort of a wrestling match, brawl is the dice pool. And strength, which we're in Dalu, so my strength is 4. So it's 4, 8, 12 dice I'm rolling.
Okay, and you hit 10 successes. The duration isn't that relevant really, because you're almost saying you do it. It's a question of whether you get an exceptional in the process.
First roll, 7 successes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've gained symbolic focus. You've gained the symbolic focus condition. Carry on. I imagine you're probably going to get it on the next roll.
I think one of us just dislocated Johnny's shoulder.
I just hope he gets another, 5 successes.
3 on the second roll, but that's the 10
That's
we
enough.
need. Do you
So
want to
just-
explain quickly what symbolic focus is for the viewers? We got a couple people
Okay,
watching.
it's a condition. Your character is filled with the symbolic power of the rite you've invoked, becoming a channel for it. You achieve an exceptional success on interactions with spirits with 3 successes instead of 5, and your effective spirit rank is increased by 1. You'll end it if you go into rage, break any ban you possess, or get an exceptional success on a interaction with a spirit. Basically, you're charged up with spiritual power.
And that's for each of us, or just for?
Just for him. He's the only one who gets it.
Chris, I have a
if you'd
question.
like- Sorry, carry on.
How many days away are we from the new moon?
2, I think.
So it's basically on the night. Oh, I was going to ask if I can go into EXP debt to pick up a third die of cunning for my plan of using a lightning bolt to.
Yes, but that's something we'll probably cover in the downtime-esque element, I think.
Okay. Okay. I was hoping to maybe try to pull it off
also-
before the hunt.
Also,
during the hunt. That's fine.
they still have the effect of inspired from my last song in your heart hasn't been used yet, correct?
What was it related to?
That was when, after we had just beaten that Hrafnir, and we came back and we announced to everybody we officially have the tone and whatever else, it was like tales of like basically how hard we are in battle.
I'm going to say it's probably passed by now.
It's
probably
passed?
Spirit the
Okay.
created, because they tend to be focused around what you've inspired them to do, and there's been enough
Sure.
downtime now.
Okay.
That's probably left it.
Sounds good.
Okay, you raise the right. You feel jazzed up. You all feel empowered. You have you would, if you were seeing Dunstan, be able to see his spirit brands on him. You know that, but you also feel the exhilaration, the sense of desire to pursue and bring down and understand or harm or otherwise complete your hunt through dominance of the prey. Now, if I understand correctly, the initial plan tonight is to go to sleep so the Cahillith can maraud his dreams, and then to begin trying to reach out and look into tracking him or the pack down and understand more about the pack via intelligence gathering. So what we're going to do, the dream thing is probably going to involve a bit more involved because there's a bit more intel that could come out of that, and the others we're going to boil down to some key dice rolls, and I'll give you the information you get from it so you can make your decisions going forwards off the back of that. We will assume in the meantime that otherwise stuff continues, like Jack working on fixing the barn up and generally gathering supplies for the meat, but that otherwise you are the pack are focusing on this for the time being and scouting and things like that. Okay?
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
Chris, real quickly, as part of that, because of the intention that Jack is using with the barn, is that he's building an interrogation room, basically he's building a torture chamber. In his mind, he's building something that it's a psychological torture chamber for Jonathan Dunstan. It's not a legit. Stop giving me that look, Johnny. Would there be a usage for his intimidation skill as part of setting it up and getting it ready?
I mean, if you had a specific...
Oh, you got out there.
Right, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Okay, if you had a specific idea of how you were going to do that, maybe. As a general building, I will say no, because you have the slight concern with this barn that you also need to make sure it continues to stand, which is probably your priority in building it back up.
And
Right,
searching out the
so
barn.
the I actually did have the specific kind of plan, which was the the hanging of the fresh kill, things things to overload the senses to kind of throw him off, and that's part of it. It's the blood. It's getting everybody kind of amped up through the fresh kill and those sorts of things as part of it.
So how that will work is that will give you an equipment bonus on a night for certain things that align with what you've done.
Okay.
So if you use that as a method of getting at him, then you might get bonuses there.
So now we're going to have 2 nights before the night of the meeting, right?
Yep.
Dan, this is also super important for both of us.
Sorry.
Right now, our honorary spirit rank is considered to be 3. So we're technically rank 3 spirits to spirits. Because we both have the symbolic focus condition.
Okay.
So when you settle down of the evening then, and your Cahillith attempts to invade the dreams of Jonathan Dunstan, I am going to need you to give me the roll.
I'm super excited for this.
It's manipulation plus empathy plus glory.
Do we get empathy bonuses on our territory?
He's not on your territory.
Okay,
so,
the
no.
target has to be on the territory. Gotcha.
Yeah, he'd have to be a local,
Sure.
as it were, who lives there.
Okay, so in that case, my dice pool for
We could
this
kidnap
is
him and drag him here.
5. Now, let me just see something. Okay, so normally this won't count as a restful sleep for me, right? Unless I get the exceptional success.
Yes. Now the other thing to note is you do get a bonus to this because werewolves are your favored prey, so you're getting a +2 bonus.
Okay. All right.
Bits.
I'm going to gamble here and spend a point of willpower.
Dan, why don't you do it around the locust too? You get an additional +1 bonus for it.
If
It's
you want to go and sleep in the locust, yeah.
Sure.
In the area of influence of a
When the
locust.
glass works.
We'll set you up a cot.
Nice. Okay.
We set up Thornbreaker.
All right. So my normal dice pool is 5. I'm getting 2 because of my favorite prey. 1 for being within the effect of a locust. I'm then going to spend a point of willpower with the hope that I'm going to get the exceptional success and get it back. So it's a little bit of a gamble, but I think it will help overall. That will bring my total dice pool to 11 for this. So here we are. / roll. Five successes! Yeah!
Right, let me just add that to the beat pile. Yeah, so you get the willpower back from sleeping as per normal. Okay, so you choose one of the effects that you want to apply. So you find the dreams. You dreaming is always strange. Especially for a Catholic. It's an unusually vivid dream. One where you walk through a forest, but the trees are not quite larger or more meaningful. They're minds, perhaps dreaming minds. You're not quite sure. Each one represents growth of thought, growth of soul. You find your way to a tree that is gnarled and marked with blood and scored with flecks of silver. And passing that and its stench of burned flesh and its smell of rich, rich blood, you pass into the dreams of your prey. So what is your effect you're picking?
And this is why I asked, in theory, if nothing disrupts us, I can use this again tomorrow, correct? If he falls asleep again tomorrow? Okay. So tomorrow I'm going to plan to do something different. Tonight, I'm going to plan to use the ability where the Cahillith hunts through the dream for fragmentary thought beasts and figments, discovering one of the following information about the prey. An impression of his immediate surroundings. I'm basically going to try to figure out where specifically they call home within their territory with this first one.
Okay, so you enter the dreams. The dreams are strange. You're on the periphery. Normally, this would be terrifying for whoever's being hunted, but obviously, because there's a wolf in their dreams at the edges of what they recall and think of, the fleeting figments of their mind. Of course, you are a wolf stalking a wolf. In his dream, Jonathan is a wolf. A proud wolf. You haven't seen his animal form, so you don't know if this is how he actually looks in his Urshel for a direwolf form. He is a grand wolf, almost grand enough to rival how you would imagine a firstborn would look. Silver coat, bounding through his primal hunting ground, his land, his place. And the theme of this dream is dominance and ownership, possession. He owns this place. He is dreaming of his land. Your presence is a sour note, but because you are keeping to the edges and hunting more for information than going for him, he stirs only sluggishly in reaction to the dream wolf that prowls his mind. You find things then, scraps, prey that evade him. He hunts rich prey. The deer here are big and powerful and juicy with smell, mouth-watering. The rabbits fat and not as fast as they should be. He is dreaming of something of a paradise, of a hunting ground, which means you're able to pick up some of these beasts yourselves, one that he has overlooked or that have evaded his snapping jaws, tear them open, and find the thoughts and concepts within them. You pin a deer down and you rip and you tear into what is not flesh, but is recollection. And from that, the awareness comes to your mind. You are getting something when you awake. It is something like a series of snapshots. There is a hillside, a low part of a chalky hillside, and on that, let me have a quick look. There is ruins. There are ruins of a castle. They are very basic. There's very little ruins left. We are you rising up a bit higher in the shapes of what was the plan of a castle, presumably, but it is nothing more than a few low walls and tumbled rocks now. The dreaming dark, beneath the moonlight, a small village. which, when you are able to cross-reference with what you vaguely see through this with Waking, it looks like it must be an angle on the village of Lee, but you are looking from outside the village on this hillside. Like an enclosure. It looks like an enclosure. It is, yeah. There is the ruins of a castle. He is sleeping among them, and he is not the only wolf there. There are two others. They are all in wolf form, sleeping out here under the stars. And I don't think I have any other information on it. So yeah, that you are seeing a specific perspective on the village nearby from the ruins of a castle, which has got to be enough information to work on.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Perfect. Just to give my packmates an idea, the next night when I use Dream Hunter, I'm going to try to leave him exhausted, and he won't regain a point of willpower from a restful sleep.
Okay. So
like it.
You now have 2 days of investigating that pack. You have an information on roughly where he should be, and a bit of cross-referencing. You find very basic. This is like Google it research. There is the ruins of an old castle near Lee. They're a little bit unusual because there are no historical records of a castle ever being near Lee, and yet there are the ruins of a castle there. This, by the way, is entirely true. This is real life thing. There is a ruins of castle that no one has knows why it's there. It just is, and no one has any reason for it being there. At least some of the pack are apparently sleeping there. Probably not the whole pack. You only saw 3 werewolves there, and pure packs tend to be quite big. But how do you want to go about? Because what you really want to do is you want to get eyes on him and learn more down, and you want to learn more about him in general. To prepare yourself for whatever might go down.
So, Dan, how much of what you learned in his dream did you tell us?
Basically that I saw him with at least 2 others. They were sleeping in the ruins of a castle outside of the village of Lee.
Did you, and Chris, I think you mentioned it, did you bring up his preferred prey within his territory? You mentioned that he enjoyed hunting the stag in his territory, right? That was something he one of his preferred prey within the territory.
I perceived that as more just like he preferred fat,
symbolic,
rich prey. Basically, it was more.
Okay.
You can correct me.
No, the reason I ask is because part of Jack's whole plan is to have this fresh kill. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about sneaking onto his territory and killing something on his territory, something that he smelled from home. This kind of like, hey. Maybe the others aren't going to pick up on it, but he's going to pick up on the fact that I've been to his territory and he wasn't aware of it. I know where you live, I know where you are, and I take what I want from you.
You have to
part of the logical game. Pete, if you want to take it down, I don't think Jack's going to have a problem with that.
Well, no.
So did you say this?
It's really appropriate for me because my thing is monster, and I love using the Sister Daz as a monster's thing for a blood is I use the Sister Da as a fear tactic.
Right.
Second of all, I've got nowhere to run. I can literally find the bolt hole, and the perfect part about that is the drawback with that is if I get in there, I have to let him know that I've been there.
And we let him know that you've been there by hanging a deer from his.
Well, I probably just paint a Forsaken symbol and be like, it ain't safe, right?
Johnny was here.
Johnny was here.
But that's I want prey from his territory as what I hang in the barn and serve to everybody.
So what's the pack's first step here?
I'm gonna make a wits and investigation roll and trying to use the information that Thornbreaker just gave us to try to really pin down where his favorite place to sleep is.
Time out. As we're talking about this, and we're recommending we're gonna go in there, and I'm gonna let him know I was in there, and I'm gonna eat his favorite bunny. I'm like, all right, relax, walk it back a second. We haven't decided we're going to kill all of these sorry bastards yet, and so the reality is, this is me going for my guru. What is that? My blood.
It's your bone, I think.
We're going for trying to knock them down a peg, but we also have to understand that we, Morven Mad in chat said, not his favorite bunny.
Yes, his favorite bunny.
We also need to show them part of this, and part of what we're showing to our tribe mates that have respected these uneasy truces is that we respect territory, which is not to say we don't go on their territory, but that I don't think we should advertise we're going on their territory, because if we expect people to respect our territory to some degree until we're ready to take it, we need to respect theirs as well.
That's what I thought. Just taking a deer from there was like it's like neener, but it's not really like.
But it means we went on their territory uninvited, which invites people to come into our territory uninvited.
So the real thing I probably want to do is get onto the territory, find Jonathan. He can't see me, just so I can get eyes on him and see
100%.
what his renowned brands are.
So that actually plays to my bone.
Sorry, I couldn't catch the end.
That actually,
people are talking.
Sorry. So that actually plays into my bone, which is cub. So it's gonna be like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. Wait a minute. There's something to that. So we're gonna go with that because that's probably the wiser decision.
I'm gonna give a point of willpower to Thornbreaker for getting doing his guru thing of now hold your fucking horses. I'll give a point of willpower to Stormbringer for then folding like a pack of cards. When someone points out that it might not be the best idea. Now, Johnny, you're going to basically do the recce run onto their turf, essentially, try and get eyes on. So, the best option probably involves starting in Lee itself or at the castle site and trying to pick up scent. And you might just come across them anyway. It's not a massive area, not a lot of people live there. So, I think. So, how do you want to do? You going to start in the village or at the ruins? Is your sort of starting point where to look?
I'm gonna start at the village, see if I can find them there. I'd rather start at the village and try to work towards the ruins.
Okay. So you wanted to make a wits plus investigation initially, wasn't it, if I understand correctly?
Yeah. Just kind of like see where he might be coming out of and try to establish eyes that way.
Make that roll.
Alright, we want this to succeed. So here goes another point of willpower.
And obviously, in general, remember, guys, every time you have a day, at least every day passes, is a point of willpower back and some essence back.
3 successes.
Okay.
I'm basically using nowhere to run. I'm not going to be directly invading where his favorite place is, but to get an idea of where he would come out of to establish.
Remember, I think you need to see him to use nowhere to run, don't you?
I've done it without it, but
That's because you had the head of the target.
Well, I can also use smells that I'm familiar that came off of him, because it says I use smells, fibers, and stuff
you need to turn
that.
scrutiny. So you need to find something to scrutinize, and then you'll have a chance to do that.
Well, he was on the territory, right? So I'm gonna go into where he picked up the whatever Claris left him, and see if I can pick up his scent that way.
Okay, yeah, give me the... so this was that roll then. What did you get? 3 successes.
3 successes.
So initially doing that pickup and then starting to think about, examining distantly examining territory. Very safe place for a house. He has a 5-dot safe... Yes, the safe place. You get the... Yeah, he has a 5-dot safe place house near Lee.
Okay.
You've got a house looking on Google Maps. It looks like it's a fairly nice little walled, walled-off place. He also has there is a pack lair of some sort. There's the ruin. There's the castle ruins. There is another pack lair in Lee. You think you're not exactly sure where, but there's somewhere that they are sniffing from the smells on the bit of swatch of fabric he left behind. You're there's something you think in the village smells a bit slightly a bit. There's certain, if you get into Lee, you think you'll be able to track it down by smell. And there's also otherworldly smells of somewhere he's hanging around a lot. You have a suspicion. No, that's it, right. And this is weird because it's otherworldly smells that don't quite match the shadow properly. It's there, but it's not. They've got something weird that there is a lair of some sort.
Okay.
on
So I'm gonna start with that pack lair properly, since it's in the village anyway. And all right, I'm gonna do a couple things. I'm gonna be in the village,
Mhm.
dexterity plus stealth. I'm assuming stalking is gonna apply,
yes.
and I'm going to use my fading merit to add my cunning for the rest of the scene.
Okay. And we'll talk once I've got the results of the rolls. I'll talk through a bit of how it goes.
I'm gonna spend another point of willpower. 5 successes.
Okay, let me tag that in. That's two. That's tagging the Cisco Dar as well, so that's more XP. Right. Lee. Lee is a nice little village. It is also completely under the thumb of the Pure. You can tell because you going in. I mean, are you going on foot? Because it's quite a few miles away. Are you gonna like catch a bus or something over that way?
I'm gonna catch a bus, but then like 2 miles or so outside, I'm gonna get off and walk the rest of the way.
So to the south, you see the Dorset Downs rising up, the chalk, and around you is the bucolic countryside of the Blackmore Vale. And Lee itself, as you enter, you can see the scratchings in trees nearby, near where the road goes in. Things hanging under eaves of buildings, very subtly placed. So basically, like little bundles of feathers or things with little crystal chunks. That someone might go, "Oh, it's some new age hippie," rather than going, "It's a murder cult of werewolves who believe they're supreme." And it is the latter in this case. This place is bedecked with pack territorial markings. If you are someone who knows anything about the Forsaken and the Pure, and you walk in here, you go, right, I am on a Pure Pack's turf. There is no excuse for wandering in here and not knowing that.
So Johnny is wearing sunglasses. He's got a travel mug, and he's just.
I am a tourist.
I am a tourist, completely unsuspicious.
And then so you've got meadow and pasture land south of the village as well, rolling away. The village itself is not even majorly built up. There's a lovely old church there, really old style. I think it's Norman, sort of grey stone church. It's a delightful little village if it wasn't for the werewolves. Now, you don't immediately cross paths, but the scents and smells are very strong here, of multiple werewolves passing this way back and forth regularly, marking territory edges. You are getting quite a few. Now, I would like you to make a tracking check now. It is wits plus survival, adds your primal urge, I believe, and adds the perception bonus for the form you are in, which obviously at the moment is human.
All right, which is +1, so that's wits, 3, 4, 5, 6 dice.
Yep.
6d10. Do I have any equipment bonuses just because I have a general sense of where this lair might be in the village?
I'm going to say no. But the fact you even know it is what's letting you do this easily off the top rather than having to spend ages buggering around trying to track sense down and stuff.
Right, so it's because I already cheated.
Yeah.
2 successes.
Okay. After some sniffing around, there's a pub. One of the pubs in the village is called the classic The King's Head, like many other pubs. The back part of this old greystone building is what looks like it's a bit of a hall. It's like a higher hall essentially. So the building got pub, little not exactly conference place, but the bottom half they rent out the bottom half of the back building for events, so weddings, ceremonies, stuff like that, where you need a room to have people come in. The top part of that building is the Lee private what do they call it? Private is called the Hunters Club. It's not very covert as werewolves consider it, but hunting is it's called the Lee Hunters Club. Holds up, and you're like, yep, a lot of sense going up there. That is their base in the village.
Okay, so I'm just basically gonna hang around in the vicinity, act very unnoticed, unobtrusive, and as soon as I get eyes on him, I just want to read his renown and get the fuck out of Dodge.
Okay, so you wait there for a while, and what did you get on your Dex plus Stealth roll? Okay, no, I won't even make the opposed roll for this. You get lucky, but you get more than lucky. So the first person you see going in there, you see isn't Dunstan. We'll talk about him in a moment. It is a woman. Let's have a look. Let me just put it on her.
Now, can I only perceive his renown, or is it any?
He is the target, so only his.
Just making sure.
So this woman. Okay, so a very expensive sports car rolls up and parks in the pub's thingy. Woman gets out. She is. She looks like a middle-aged Pakistani British woman. But she is dressed in some very expensive designer clothing, but it's the kind of casual wear. It's not like she's trying to look smart. She's just extremely rich and wearing extremely nice clothes. Gets out. She's wearing shades. She hair tied back, and and you're like, the way she even gets out of the fucking car. That's a wear. Not even, and like this is the alarm bells are ringing.
And Johnny is just snapping photos every time on his phone.
Not only does she have some scars or outwardly, but not many. The way she walks, like a whole load of things are going. That is quite a high primal urge werewolf. She is not pissing about. She is moving with absolute casual confidence of a predator who knows that she is the biggest, baddest motherfucker around here. And she sort of strides up and heads up into the Hunters Club. And you can see as she goes, she's got some tattoos, especially running around the back and onto the shoulders. They're not usually visible from the front. Some of which are marking her renown. So not all of them. Some of them are just elaborate, almost masking the renown tattoos. But if you know what to look for, you can look for them. So you have a good look at the glory renown on her back. She has purity renown. She has purity 5.
Shit.
You've never seen a werewolf with that kind of, shall we say, spiritual decking out. A while later, Dunstan turns up, walking down the street. You're still considered, you've kept your scent mask, so he hasn't picked up. He's looking slightly worse for wear. Not like he's had a really bad night's sleep, but he's not clearly had the best. A slightly scruffy clothing.
You're back.
Can you hear me? He's wearing smart clothing, but it looks a bit. I get no here. He's looking a bit grumpy, and you get to look at him, and you can see, unlike her, he can't see his brands normally, but you can see the seething red, the ruddy red glowing through. Now let me tell you what his renown is. There we go. Cunning 2, Glory 2, Honor 3, Purity 3, Wisdom 2.
You said Purity 3?
Purity 3. Honor and Purity are 3. The other 3 are all at 2.
2. Oh, jeez.
Nothing hugely stands out there. I mean, for a werewolf who's been around for a while, it's nothing special.
Yeah, I mean, he just outranks all of us, so, and everything.
Well, in spirit rank, but how much do werewolves care so much about that?
Right.
There's nothing, unlike Purity 5 woman who turned up, there's nothing there that is like serious alarm bells. He's been a werewolf.
Well,
I'm thinking
time out.
the alpha.
It means he has a lot of gifts, though, right?
Yep.
It means he has quite a lot of facets, yes.
Facets, right, yeah. That's true.
But to be fair, you can have quite a lot of facets while having not many dots of renown as well.
That's fair.
And then, presumably, you are booking it out there, I presume.
Yeah, I am. As soon as I get eyes on him, I'm booking out a dodge.
Okay, you make it out there. Again, your fantastic Dex plus stealth roll means no interference in your exit stage left. Going, I just walked right into the middle of a Pure Pax territory, and they're probably going to pick up on your sense.
Can I slash his tires before I go?
He didn't turn up in the car. She did. If you want to slash her tires, you can.
I wouldn't.
I'm not gonna fuck with her. I was hoping he showed up in her car. All right, I'm not slashing his tires.
They will probably pick up your scent sooner or later. But you'll be long gone by then, and you haven't done and you haven't done anything. You've been on their territory. It might be a bit rude, but you haven't done anything bad. So hopefully you'll get away with this scot-free. So that's a day's. Otherwise, work is continuing on across the day. But your Iraka returns after a successful scouting mission by himself. He hasn't been horribly murdered, and in fact has come back with the information you sent him in for.
So does my wallflower kick in since I was doing this away from the pack by myself?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, mechanically, since we made this Sisker Da get information about Dunstan, when does it end?
you've got two options. You can end it now, or you can keep it running with the goal of basically having a showdown with him at the thingy and getting an outcome of facing him down at the.
Sure. All right. I think we're going to continue it, which will also allow me to
Invade his dreams.
invade his dreams.
Yeah.
Again.
Okay.
Okay. Then as work is continuing, Jack's making good progress getting the barn. When I say good progress, can I have a sorry?
Chris, really quick, since I operated independently to complement her pack that's on the hunt, do I regain all my willpower?
I will say I'll allow that in this case, yes.
Okay.
Stormbringer, can I please have a Dex plus crafts roll for your general work on the barn?
Makes roll. Proceeds to say, "What barn?"
So when you turn up and there's a
that may
fat
actually be the
pile of
case.
kindling, you get a
Yep.
plus one.
What barn?
Well, okay, got it. Okay, you
Well,
are making
what?
progress. Plus one equipment bonus just from the tools you have. I was going to give you.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
You know, it might explode. Might chain explode.
I've seen it
It may
happen.
just give me a success.
I've chain exploded off one die before. It was fantastic.
You know what? Never mind.
Okay, so
Nope. We're consistency. No successes.
No success.
I am terrible at crafting.
a lot of what
That's why I was
you're
going to
doing
say,
here.
can it be strength? Because it's a lot of cleaning and moving junk.
Yeah, but it's more the vital bits of it, the problematic parts.
All
And
right,
what you're finding is a lot of the work you're having to do here is on basic structural stuff to make sure everything is continuing to work fine. Well, your mic's a bit scratchy. I don't know if it's somewhere that's rubbing on something. But
Sorry, yeah. I think it's hitting my shirt. Sorry.
A lot of work is on structural stuff. You're trying to make sure this thing doesn't fucking fall over. You're making very good progress, and you're pretty sure this will be intact and waterproof for the meat. So there will be a barn. It will be standing. It will be everything you want in that respect. It's just, you're like, long term, you're going to need to get someone in.
I can lend a hand
proper-
also. I do have crafts.
You're probably in the long term. Well, even the success was fine. I just wanted to make sure it hadn't gone horribly wrong.
Right.
You're going to need to get someone in, probably with a bit more nous as to this, to at least have a look over and figure out what the structural problems are, because it's been left to seed for quite some time. But you are making good progress. So, we're going to. I think last thing before we take a break, then, is going to be the second dream hunt,
Okay.
and then we're going to have a break, a buy break, and we'll come back.
So, just actually, one thing I want to do really quick before we do this. I was looking at buying a piece of the dominance gift, which I get access to.
You have to. You don't
have to
actually have
unlock
it
the
at the
gift.
moment. You have to unlock it, which you haven't done yet. It's an affinity gift, so it's cheap, but it's not one.
Okay, right. So when I unlock it, I can unlock it with a facet, right? Or do I have to unlock it and have to buy the facet?
No, when you unlock it, you also get a facet in it. It has
Okay,
to be
what's the cost of unlocking it?
It's
3 experience?
Gift, 3 experience for you if it's an affinity.
3?
Yeah.
Okay. I know if we do things that are not part of the Sisker Da, we run the risk of removing it. However, the one I want to do is I actually kind of I want to open it up with Lalo the Challenger, which is sometimes there's no choice but to establish dominance through blood and violence. And because Jack is fully expecting a fight, unlocking this gift is giving him an edge in that inevitable.
I'm going to say
competition.
no for a couple of reasons. First is it's broader than just what the hunt would be. Secondly, you're going to need to figure out what spirit you're going to go after, and that's probably going to take some time anyway, which is, you're almost out of time at this point. So,
Got it.
But it's something to think about in general. It's what would be able to give it to you. So,
Right.
Carlith, let's have your dice roll.
Okay, so my empathy is 1. What are we using? My manipulation is 1. I get 3 from my glory. Then, because it's my preferred prey, that's another 2.
2 more.
And then I'm going to use the I'm going to be in the locust again. It's another 1. That brings it to 8. And then I'm going to use a point of willpower for an additional 3. That puts me back at 11 dice.
Okay.
Alright, slash roll 11d10. 3 successes.
Okay.
Which does that trigger exceptional success from my
No, because it's not
Okay.
spiritual attraction.
Gotcha.
So, what are you picking to inflict? Because it's worked. He
I'm
doesn't
going
roll
to
well.
inflict the exhausted, and he doesn't regain a point of willpower for sleeping.
So, this night, you pursue him through his dreams, and though he is, again, a wolf, slightly different this time in its dream logic, and in a different place, in a village, but not Lee exactly. In fact, maybe that's why it doesn't work out so well for him. It's something about this place he's dreaming of is less comfortable when you arrive, and you hunt him through his dreams. He is not one to turn and flee. He tries to fight and avoid being cornered, but it's dream logic, and you are a dream hunting him. Every time he turns and thinks he gets you cornered, there is nothing there. Every time he thinks he's evaded you, there you are. And over the night, you run him ragged. And when you wake in the morning, you suspect he is probably absolutely shattered from having run in his own thoughts and his own soul. We are going to have a bio break here now. So 5 minutes, drinks and all that, and we'll see if anyone in the chat has any thoughts going forward, anything about how you think the pack meet is going to go down, anything you think the pack may have overlooked, or otherwise hilarity that is about to ensue, let us know, and we'll see you back here shortly.
Aw. Nope, got nothing.
All right. I am back. You guys are muted eating. That's fine. What are we doing here? All right, cool. I figured in honor of the coloplexy, I'd eat an apple.
It's got to be cider for the coloplexy.
Yeah, I will be picking up a half gallon of apple cider today in honor of the coloplexy. Chris, really quick question. Okay, never mind. It is here. I just missed it.
Sorry,
We're
it was not transmitting. Anyone in chat have anything to say before we plunge off in?
They were
no,
just
I had
they were
one
just
thing I
admiring
wanted to do.
your little one there, Chris.
Yeah, no, she's just being small. Door open, so she wanted to come in for a bit.
And Morven Mad just wanted to share that he's enjoying the show.
Ah, good. No, glad to hear it.
Chris, really quick question. Did my last point of aggravated damage heal off? Has it been enough time since the fight?
Yes. You should, but you know, and your essence pools should all be full for this day as well because you've had enough time to get stuff off the.
Okay. So.
The last day.
Excuse me. Sorry. I know. It's kind of gross. Where the hell are my weather gifts? Here we go. Okay, that's the cloak one. That's that one. Guys. Okay, I need wisdom.
helped buy a load of alcohol for the spread on the trestles in the barn. I know Jack is planning to hunt and kill a deer to have a fresh one there, as well as unleashing a storm.
What is the biggest game that would be in the area?
Deer.
Like, okay, because I was like if we're in Texas, wild boar would be the biggest you could find.
You wouldn't
Deer
get
will be the
wild
biggest.
boar around here.
Duncan's favorite bunny.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. Boar around here would be very, very rare and not really on the Vale, but it's not.
Okay.
I don't think it's complete. Wild pigs aren't completely unknown, but not around this area. And so, you wouldn't expect. It's not impossible, but you wouldn't expect to find them.
Okay, so I am going to. Do I gain any negatives for not sleeping the night before?
Probably.
I don't recall, and I don't think I have any of the merits that, like, I think it's Iron Fortitude or Iron Stamina or whatever. You can ignore that for a day. All right, so I'm just going to wake up very early to begin this, and if I have downtime in between as part of this, just looking for signs of like the biggest deer, where they're running, things like that.
Morven Man says it needs to be a favorite deer. That's the requirement.
Yeah, I can find his favorite deer on our territory.
If you want to, basically, if you, as part of the prep, you want to hunt down a deer, it's a tracking roll to basically do it. So it's wits plus survival, plus 1, I think, for your primal urge, and then the perception bonus for the form you're using, presumably wolf, to do the hunt, which is a +4 bonus.
Yeah. So it's
wits plus survival plus 5 in total.
Wits plus survival 2, 4. Okay, so it's 9. You know what? I'm going to spend a point of willpower because this is a very big part of his plan, and I am not taking the. Well, I'm going to try not to take the risk of failing. 2 successes.
Okay, so a chunk of the day you spend then is prowling across the territory, veering away from the more heavily farmed areas to focus on the wild areas of woodland and scrub hillside that are on the Pack's territory. And after some hunting around like that, you find on Corndle Hill, a hill north of Corndle Magna, a village just south of your territory, you find a. You manage to track down the scent of deer, and after some time hunting, you are able to bring one down. A solid young deer, juicy flesh and blood from the smell. Not so that is.
Oh, you cut out again.
Okay, it's good health. Nothing wrong with it. No, it's not sick or ill. You are able to. It takes you a while to track it down and bring it down, but you're able to bring in a fresh kill. Deer isn't nothing you can. If you keep on doing this, there will rapidly be. But there are enough around the place that you can you can pull this off certainly today without any problems. So you're able to haul back a fresh deer carcass today, no problems.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to do that and hang the deer in the barn, and then nobody else is pulling essence from the locust today, so it has 10 in it, right?
6.
I need 1. I need 1 from my sacred hunt the night before.
If you fall asleep naturally, you don't have to spend the point of essence, Dan.
To activate the gift? No. You spend 1 to activate the gift, and then you spend another 1 if you don't want to wait the hour meditating and fall asleep.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, so you need 1.
I misread that. Sorry.
Yeah, so that leaves 5 in the pool.
Perfect, because I need 5 to use Heavens Unleashed. Because this is our... What? What's the smirk for? Dude, it's kind of our thing.
Sure.
It's your thing.
It's my thing, and fine, it's Jack's thing, and I'm doing it, damn it.
I didn't tell you not to. I'm allowed to laugh. I didn't tell you not to do it. We've all accepted that this is just essence we're going to have to spend every time we want something to happen, and it's fine.
I'm surprised Jack didn't make me go gather information in the middle of a storm.
You've been reasonable enough
only for the meeting itself.
You've been reasonable enough to prioritize that we all have enough essence to do what we need to do in battle, and if there's enough left over, you make a storm. And that's fine. There's no
Right.
problem there.
Well, that's exactly the point. I'm never going to do it if it's going to detriment us.
Yeah, it's
Unless
fine.
unless we need it for battle, but having the storm is also going to, help us. And I know it's not super. It's more so. It's kind of annoying because, like, yes, it's going to be a penalty to their speed and initiative, but we're also going to be indoors, so I don't think the penalty really is going to be affected. I think that's more.
I'm
of
hoping
outdoors.
your patch job holds up then.
Oh, Chris, you're not transmitting.
Chris, you cut out.
Being a bit of a pain at the moment. Can you hear
There we go.
Yep.
me? Affects people who are caught in the storm. If you're in the barn, you should be fine.
Okay, cool.
Roll to act is presence plus survival plus glory. If you do it while you are in the pack locus, you'll be getting +1 die to that as well.
Okay, and there's no other benefits I can give myself on that one.
No, because it's not your favorite prey.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't affect that. It doesn't work like this one doesn't work like that anyway because it's an AOE thing, so it doesn't care about prey.
Okay. All right. Oh, I did that wrong. Sorry. I got 29 successes. No, I screwed up royally. There we go. Oh, nice. 5 successes on the first roll.
Nice. Okay. Right.
So let's just make sure we totally ruin everybody's day.
To start with, so the storm also inflicts a penalty on allies, contacts, retainer staff, and status use. So basically, it's an absolute pissing down. It's a real fucking storm. That is in the hunt as well for setting it up, so that was doubles up there.
You cut out again.
4.
There it is.
Okay, so it takes me a total of. Oh,
I don't know why it's.
let's see here.
What is amusing, Chris, is every time you drop off and back on, it shuffles us on the overlay for the stream.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. It was 1, 2, 3, 4 rolls total. So it's 4 minutes to do. Exceptional success.
Yep. Hold on.
Fantastic.
Okay. So, a serious fucking storm has kicked off. You go to the locust, you invoke the power of this, and the cloud, because it's already cloud, it's not raining, but it's a grey day. It doesn't take a lot to prod it into a storm, and perhaps you may have over-prodded it slightly into a storm. It's really vicious out there. Tomorrow there will be weather reports of flooding. So, with that setup done
hold on a second.
for shenanigans... Mm-hmm.
Just for, again, a little more of the what's it? Where is it?
On a side note, while he looks for that, it's just something that's sort of evolving naturally with my character. You know that my character sort of has a thing with storms because he perceives that as sort of a subtle message that Luna sends him. He obviously doesn't think that the storms that Jack summons count, and so it leaves a slightly bitter tone when he summons it of like, this isn't the same. And it also feeds into like Kehalith and Rahu, for those who haven't played the game, have this sort of weird relationship where the Kehalith are like, yeah, they get to be the favorite children, but like, should be me, but they get to be the favorite children. And so
Stupid middle child.
this is like, oh yeah, he just calls storms, no big deal, even though this is kind of like Luna's thing for me. Yeah, no, it's fine.
I'm the firstborn, sir. I was the firstborn. I'm the favorite. You're the middle child. Get back where you belong.
So now,
He's the youngest one who never gets in trouble for anything.
it's not like a big
Because they
deal.
can't find me.
It's not a big deal, but now like Thornbreaker is just like a little like grumbly whenever the storm starts. It's like, it's not the same.
Oh my goodness.
Keith, did you have something else you were checking up there then?
Yeah, I was thinking about it only because of everything that's going on. I was thinking if we left the barn doors wide open and like let the storm kind of interfere a little bit, that the penalties may still go across, and then I was going to use the 2 essence to make sure the other 2 weren't affected. But we'll keep the doors shut and not worry about it. I really just want to make them miserable on their way in. It's more of a mind game than wanting the actual effect against them.
It's actually not a bad idea, though, because then if they have any people that aren't going to be forthright about coming in and they're going to try to snoop around the grounds, it hampers them at least. So it's actually not the worst thing.
It does make it a lot harder for anyone trying to sneak into turf unnoticed. With that prep done, there's sort of with that setup done there, we'll move to the general flow of the day, moving towards, because obviously the day is first off, Jack's off getting the hunt, and then by the time you come back, you've set the kill up, and Mary's bringing in these crates of drinks to the trestles that's up in the barn when you're there hanging this thing up, and she's frowning slightly at this. Later on, there is complaints from her when it starts to bucket it down, and she stops trying to clean the barn up. Basically, goes and bunkers down in the main house. While you are getting yourself set up in all this, so
I gotta bring the 3 clean bodies in. We got to do that.
You have to go and dig out the bag. So
they've decomposed.
Here's the thing. Now, firstly, they are still mutated. Not very much, but they were claimed enough. There is still some mutation. So Grimmer's head is no longer this mass of teeth and knives, but it is still, there's like a split down it with teeth and some bits of metal in it. But it looks much more like a human.
Okay, didn't I rip his head in half?
Yes, but it's
okay.
But it points the
There's
mutation.
2 halves.
Gotcha.
You are now looking at what is much more the horrified corpses of the people who were taken by these spirits, the 2 women and the man. There are marks on them still of mutation. The other thing is, it has been some time and they are rotting. Now, at this stage of decomposition, they are no longer green. They're going back to a horrible livid red colour, as a blacky red, as everything was done. There is also a certain amount of like the teeth are starting to fall out and things like that. It's pretty. They don't smell good, is what I'm saying, but they haven't liquefied because of where you stored them. They're not infested with like maggots or anything, but they're pretty foul. So you can lay those squelchy lumps out on the one of the trestles for your. And here is our kill. Just don't mind the snipping.
And I take one of the heads from Great Aunt Claris's study from the tree climb, and I'm going to use that as a symbolic thing. Like, we took down this thing. Here's one of the heads that she took earlier. Like, as the 4th.
Which head are you taking down? Sorry.
Which one was like? All 3 of them were from the Tree of Heads.
It was from the Tree of Heads.
Which one?
There was one. There was.
I'm going to take one. I'm going to take the one that was
specific.
I'm going to take one that was specifically from the Tree of Heads.
Okay, so you're laying that one down there as well. Now, as you guys are prepping and gathering and generally psyching yourselves up for this, a delivery van rolls up.
Oh shit!
It's a delivery guy comes out with some packages and like wanting someone to sign for them. Mary's like, you come out, and Mary's like, I think this is looking at the storm. Oh Christ! Well, I think this is the walkie-talkies and stuff. So she get this. One of the packages handed over is indeed that. It's what she ordered with the earpiece and the walkie-talkie. So she goes off to try and get that set up. There is another package there which is addressed to it's going to be addressed to the owner of the estate. It does not address to a person, it's just to the owner of the estate. And it's a parcel. So he hands it over to you, you sign for it, and then the guy goes about, looks at the weather, grumbles about it, weather, and says the roads look like they might be flooding, and then,
Stay safe, I let him. I let him.
Yeah. Leaving you with this parcel. Once he's gone.
I'm going to call the pack over in case bad shit goes down when we open this parcel. And
okay.
So I got a package. I'm gonna pull out the knife from that we took from the fire claims. I'm gonna start opening the package.
Okay.
Jack is grumpy that he's being interrupted for this.
It is a bottle and a note. The bottle is a short snub bottle. Something dark glugs inside it. It's got a label on it, an old label, not a printed one, like a handwritten thing, saying Kestrel Crop 1987. and the note with it, which says a gift. You're probably going. No, yes, a gift. You're going to need it. I wouldn't advise drinking it. How do they sign off? This signs off with the Lyceum. And the smell about it is there's the smell of werewolf to it. There is a specific, not one you've encountered before, but there's a werewolf's scent to it. Werewolf handled and packed this.
Can we smell the liquid in the vial? Like, what is it?
You think it's probably cider?
Huh.
But if it's 1987, it's pretty old cider, and you don't generally
Don't
like aged
drink it.
cider. Yeah,
Right.
I wouldn't advise drinking it, maybe because it's probably vinegar at this point.
Okay.
Well, now I know why Chris was looking up what happens to apple cider. So,
All right, so Jack is going to grumble about somebody wasting his time again and head back in to the barn and take out his very large knife and start skinning the deer.
I'm gonna see Mary really quick before this.
Yep. She's there fiddling. She's sat in one corner of the kitchen, like with the stuff out, trying to get it all, all the earpieces and walkie-talkies rigged up, grumbling.
So, sorry to bother you. We got this package on top of the walkie-talkies. It looks like an old bottle of cider, a Kestrel Crop, 1987, but it from somebody that calls himself the Lyceum. Is there anything like that in the area?
I haven't heard of a Lyceum. I mean, Lyceums are schools, aren't they? I haven't heard of a school called the Lyceum. No.
Okay.
She
All
shrugs.
right. No problem. So I'm just gonna go really quickly. The last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go see the Unconquered Raven, if he's on the spirit side or if he can.
He's hanging around in Twilight. He
You
thought
could
was going to turn up. Oh, the
Okay.
Unconquered Raven is hanging around you in Twilight at the moment, in the flesh, because a bunch of people are going to turn up. Stuff's going to happen. Your totem wants to be here.
Right. I turned to him. Does this organization sound familiar to you? You've been in the area much longer than we have.
The one who caressed this container was Aratha. I do not
I can
know.
smell that.
I do not know the name. I do not recognize the name. But I do not know of all matters Aratha.
It's fair. All right. Thank you.
So the day creaks on. You're not really quite sure when people are going to start to turn up, but probably as it starts to get a little bit darker, you think, especially with the storm, you're thinking, well, people are turning up. Wait, the storm might slow them up a bit, or then again, maybe not. They are werewolves. Who knows?
No, it'll slow him up.
I'm gonna keep the bottle. I'm gonna keep the bottle on me. Or if I'm not
Yep.
I'm not gonna display it.
Okay. Mid-afternoon, your first guests arrive. There's the honk honk out front of the building as you see the the hippie VW thingy. has
The mystery
rolled up.
machine.
The mystery machine has turned up, and getting out, scowling up at the pouring rain, is Prayer of Castigation, and with her is a younger woman, blonde-haired, solid build as you'd expect. Werewolves tend to either be lean or built like bricks, and this woman is solidly built. There is a very strong family resemblance between the young woman and Prayer of Castigation. Prayer sort of Prayer is looking up in a kind of cursing the heavens kind of way. The younger woman, is having got out the mystery machine, has just popped open an umbrella, and making them over. And where Prayer is wearing a kind of slightly, shall we say, practical countryside wear, the younger woman is wearing a slightly more casual, like city wear. Not done up like she's going to be slogging around in the countryside. And the two of them sort of, approach the building, looking around in a kind of, are we going to be greeted, or is it a case of find out where the fuck we're supposed to be by
No,
ourselves?
I'll go greet them.
I was gonna say Jack is gonna walk out of the barn at the sound of the horn. Flannel, rolled up sleeves, covered up to his elbows in blood, big knife in his hand. He's cleaning the deer. He's getting ready to serve his kill. And kind of I guess I see Johnny walking over to them, and then I go back inside because it's not the ones I'm looking to intimidate.
Yeah. Hey, me lover. Pissing awful weather, innit?
Yeah, it's a total shit show today again.
Anyway, where are you having us?
Barn over there, I point over.
All right. Come on, Claire. Let's go. Saunter, and she saunters over that way to the barn where obviously Stormbringer is covered in blood with a deer. They're hacking the deer up. So they both turn up in the barn, getting out the rain. The woman, frowns, shakes off her does her umbrella up while the older woman, Prayer sort of peers around. All right, we're the first here. Good, it's all going as planned then. So, I see you're making good preparations there. Oh, fantastic. She sees the trestles of booze. Oh, fantastic. All right, and goes over there and gets a bottle. And you see in terms of petty uses of minor change, I can't remember what it's called. She, hand turns to a clawed thing and she just pops one of the beer bottles off with her claws. And then she, all right, fine. I need to slake my thirst after that journey, I'll tell you.
So what I'm noticing is the Uratha like to use their gifts for petty reasons.
Absolutely.
I like to ruin people's day. She likes to do party tricks with opening beers.
Yeah. All right, young man. I see you're getting arms deep in some guts there. Well, I won't bother you if you're busy. She sticks her head out the barn and goes, "Oi, master of the house, you gonna come over here or what?"
Already came over.
Oh, you're right there. Right, sorry, my old eyes, can't see so
All
well
right.
these days.
Don't worry about it.
Constantly lying, All right, well. So I see you're getting yourself set up. That's good. I was a bit worried I was going to turn up and you were going to be with your pants down around your ankles, going, "What's going on?" It's good to see you got your heads, your heads on right.
And our foreheads that we have for our kill.
I see. Yes, you can't miss the smell, can you? Even over that fresh deer, those things have got a bit pungent, aren't they? Well. A few things how it is. I hope you don't mind me saying this, because you're new ones around here and all that, right? There's a few ways we do things like this, and so there's a few farms to be respected, which we'll go through with the way it's done, right? There's we're respecting the lost, right? We're respecting the old lady, whether or not, whatever we might think of her as a person, there's a certain amount of respect you got to give, and there's ways you do it around here, right? There's a few things to tackle there, a few things to say, a few ways to have things done. I'm glad you got them heads out. It's a good show, and obviously that's something that will come because the Anshager assholes have made it about that. That'll have to come after the respect for the woman first, though, right? So don't start kicking off and pushing knocking people's drinks and all that shit before you got the essentials out of the way, all right? In fact, it's more
You're muted right now, Keith. I can't hear you.
There's Can you hear me?
Jack looks up from the deer very grumpily, and then goes back to cleaning it.
I see. It wasn't me. Yes, it wasn't me. Sorry, I got confused who you're talking to. There's a few things to go over as well on that, but just to start with. So I just want to make things clear with you. And she's speaking relatively quietly now and I don't know if Thornbreak's there, but to Johnny, because and when she said she's not bothering Stormbringer, she appears to be taking that seriously. She's speaking quietly to. So, where's that? Bottom.
Cut out.
Oh no! If I cut out every time, I keep them cutting out.
For the important bits.
Yes. We've had a bit of a chat, so the numbers are going to be fairly balanced, just in case of everyone wants to be able to turn up to this without being too worried. So I've brought my daughter here and me. The Spear Wardens are bringing 2, and then to make sure the numbers are equal on that split, I believe the Gallicrows are bringing 4, and the Misgas are bringing 3. Now I'm sorry for not clearing all this with you. Sorry?
No, 7 on each side. Yeah, that makes sense.
Sorry for not going over this with you before, but we thought it was something worth sorting out, because there's things you don't know, and people you don't know how to talk to.
I do actually have a question for you once you're done explaining something to me, because I received a rather odd package today.
Oh, okay, well, maybe we'll get to that.
Oh, you cut out. Yeah, you
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're back.
Yes.
Okay. So there's ways and forms things are done. right? We got to speak of the old wolf, and we got to speak of who we are as werewolves here. And I've got a story to tell them. Maybe one of you will have a story to tell. We'll see. Trophies comes after that, and then other pack.
So I'm gonna actually throw a tarp over our trophies then.
Now,
Ooh,
you were
excuse
saying,
me.
what was this about a package?
I received a bottle of old apple cider from I guess a 1987 crop of apples from Kestrel Hall. I was told that I might need it tonight, and I can smell rot on it, and it was signed by a person or an organization, I don't know which, that calls itself the Lyceum.
When you say the Lyceum, she scowls in a kind of not angry way, but a distasteful kind of way. It's them louts. Bunch of fuckers a bunch of ghost wolves up on the chalk. Think they're high and mighty. Well, I don't know what their business is giving you a gift like that, although I know why they've given it to you. We'll get that in a moment. But my advice, I wouldn't have much to do with them, is what I'll say. Anyway, there's libations. The beginning of something like this, there's prayers to be said and libations to be offered. And the tradition is, you offer a libation poured out from the cider crop from your territory. Now, of course, I was going to say, you boys here, you don't got anything like that, but someone's obviously decided to step in and give you that. It's a sign of respect and following the forms. Something that, without any malice, I expected you to fall down at that hurdle, because how would you even fucking know? But it looks like looks like them on the chalk have decided to take an interest.
So I just basically pour out the bottle of the cider crop, okay.
At the right time, yes, we pour out the libations in honor of the dead and the land. Now, with this, all right, I know you folks over in the Americas had a big old fucking war, right? With the Pure. Not all that long ago. Big old fight.
OG, we're talking about the whole thing in the Midwest, right? Like Denver, Colorado.
The Brethren War that was in the late 80s and was a massive throwdown, which the Pure came into research stuff like that.
You cut out.
We've got problems over here with the Pure, and we've got our conflicts and our clashes, but we ain't had your Brethren War. That's not to say there's no open conflicts, but the lie of the land here is different than it is in the US. Here in particular. What I'm saying is there's all sorts who won't appreciate you stirring off a proper fucking war of this, by the way, if you let your hearts get ahead of your heads. You got a problem with the Pure, you want to make it clear, that's one thing. But I wouldn't suggest looking to the Forsaken for backing if you decide to turn this place into a charnel house.
Am I close enough to hear this, Chris?
He's you can decide whether you can hear it or not. She's not intentionally making it audible for you. She's just speaking to thing at the moment.
I'm going to share
Well,
it.
when I hear her talking about the War of the Pure, I start kind of listening in, and I start grumbling under my breath. I only have a problem with one.
Problem is if he's well liked enough, this might blow off a war.
So I'm just saying, don't do anything too rash. rash for Rather, of course, you know.
I look up from the deer. What?
Nothing. I was clearing my throat.
I go back to working on it.
She gestures to the younger woman standing by her, who is watching who's listening carefully but not saying anything. This is one of my daughters. This is Clearstream. She's here with me as my personal protector. She smiles. Yeah, she's the muscle in this operation. I'm here. I'm the brains here. You know, the Clearstream does not look impressed with this assertion, but doesn't say anything. So, you make sure you do it over my daughter, all right? I'm gonna go and see about what else is on that trestle table because I saw some good looking stuff over there. So
There's some cider. Please enjoy.
Oh, I'm going to keep myself busy till the others arrive. Oh, by the way, well, the Forsaken are probably all going to arrive first, then the Pure arrive later in a kind of, make sure there's no mess-ups on the way kind of thing, keeping the numbers balanced and all that. So she saunters away. Her daughter watches her go, narrowed eyes, looks back at you, and goes, and in a very different, very little trace of the thick Dorset accent in her voice, goes, You're the new owner here, then?
I am.
How are you settling in?
Good right now. I think we've ran into the greatest challenge Neurotic can face, bureaucracy.
She smiles, and the smile is slightly in that, sometimes werewolves get that slightly predatory smile about certain things that are relating to them, like with Jack, it's like here kind of thing earlier. And just, yes, because there is a reason I follow Red Wolf. She glances after her mother, looks back again. Well, I hope this all goes smoothly, whatever your definition of smoothly is this evening. I don't know how helpful my mother is going to be to you, with all the people who are going to be turning up.
I look, yeah, this might get interesting. They're not going to like where we pulled our prey from. So.
Maybe not. My understanding is the guest list, which I note rather pointedly, it hasn't been arranged by you. I don't mean that to insult you, but the guest list, I guess the two most dangerous werewolves in the Blackmore Vale are going to be here tonight.
I'm assuming one of them is this Pakistani woman, right?
Yes, the Sun Chosen.
Got it. Yeah, she looks like a badass bitch.
She's very dangerous. She's entered a pact with the Hellions. They
fucking hate us.
They purified her in their eyes. The fact she survived is quite notable.
Explains the purity ring on I saw them. Well, the tattoos for it, at least.
The other werewolf in question, she gestures slightly towards her mother, is that creature there. To be clear, while she's my packmate, and of course I would never help you against my own pack, I would suggest that you keep in mind that she is very old, and the pleasant old woman mask is a mask.
She puts on a great mask. I couldn't even tell.
I had to live with her all my life. I know more than well enough what kind of monster she is.
Oh boy. We got some muscle here on. She made a pact with the Helions.
I don't know the details.
As an aside to our viewers, Helions are spirits of the sun. Luna's brother, Helios, and he fucking hates us for what we did. For what the Forsaken did. So in that, any werewolf just managing to make deals with Helions is a huge fucking deal.
For the record, anytime anybody with the name of Helios is involved, it's usually bad news.
Yes. She sort of saunters over.
For a different reason.
She saunters over to the far end of the trestle tables to where her mother is happily cracking something open drink. Picks up some, a small beer, pops open.
So I'm gonna let Thornbreaker and whatchamacallit, Jack know what's happening.
So you have your huddle thing.
I'm sorry, Thornbreaker and who?
Stormbringer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just because you haven't picked a deed name yet.
I haven't found it. It's got to be something about being unnoticed, because I literally just walked into pure territory and been like, "Sup, boys?"
Okay.
Anyway, we're gonna have to tread carefully. We've got two of the most powerful werewolves in the region here right now. Prayer of Castigation, and what I'm assuming was the alpha of Dunstan's pack. They call her the Sun Chosen.
Do we know what tribe Prayer of Castigation belongs to? I don't know if we learned that previously.
Bone Shadow.
She is a Bone Shadow.
Oh, she's gonna have. Yeah. So, and they're not gonna support us if we decide to kick off a war. So we really have to tread carefully with whatever we want to do.
Fine.
As you're sort of commenting, over the one end of the walkie-talkie thing that's been brought in to give to Stormbringer, the thing crackles into life, and Mary over going, I haven't seen nothing untoward. There's just another vehicle coming up the drive now.
I passed the walkie-talkie. I pushed the walkie-talkie into Johnny's hands.
I'm gonna go get wet, and I go outside.
You don't have to go outside. I don't want to be dealing with the thing.
Yeah.
You're an information gatherer.
I put it down on the table and I wait at the door for the next vehicle.
The vehicle that rolls up looks like a fairly mundane, 5-door family car. Not big family car, I mean, small red car. It does look like it's riding slightly too low for that kind of car. It's got extra weight in there, but you're not quite sure what the deal is. It drives up, parks up next to the mystery machine, and two people get out. One of these is a black guy wearing leather jacket, but it's not like, he doesn't look like a badass biker kind of thing. More, it looks very sturdy, weatherproof kind of stuff. That mixture between smart yet slightly rustic, he's managing to tread that line of style very finely. Big, not like massive, but again, squarely built, but without the bulk of like a muscle, a weightlifter or anything. Again, probably very fast, but also very strong. Looks around in that kind of scanning area for danger, but also curious kind of expression. With him is a much younger woman who is really, the best way to describe her is probably rangy, lanky. Tall for a woman, long black hair, not really taken much care of, she's no, she wouldn't bother. So she is wearing. She looks like she's in her early 20s at the latest. She's wearing, sort of metal t-shirt, Le Band logo t-shirt, and is looking like. She is both. She doesn't seem at all upset by the storm. In fact, she seems to she gets out, sticks her head out, is like licking one mouth, and grinning around. Quite a few piercings, and you can see, because she's not wearing like a jacket. In fact, she's got tattoos on her arms, and one of them is simply a Hunter in Darkness tribal logo as a tattoo. Just among a bunch of more regular ones.
I'm gonna give her like a Hunter in Darkness greeting. I know when I see her.
So the two of them come over. The man steps up first, very serious looking, offers his hand.
I offer it.
He's got tattoos running down from under his jacket, running down the sleeve, but you can't really see what they are. They don't look like renowned tattoos. Takes and shakes it very firmly. He goes,
Oh no, you cut out
again.
I'm the armsman of the Spear Wardens.
Armsman.
We missed his name.
It's
Here,
the Armsman.
He's James. James, they call him Linebreaker. He's the armsman of the Spear Wardens. He says,
Okay.
I'm here to help. I'm here to represent the pack for the honouring of the dead and the offering of a trophy. In fact, he opens like the side door of the car and gets out what looks like a load of oiled canvas cloth that's wrapped around some stuff. Long, maybe something like stick size or shape. How hefts it up. This he just and she basically butts in before he says anything. She literally she looms forwards with a slight grin on her face, having seen your Hunter in Darkness greeting, and goes. She goes like that and literally scratches the skin under her eye where the thing goes. They call me Weeping Blood because I have a fucking awesome deed name. What about yours?
I sigh. I haven't come up with a good one yet.
It's not about coming up with one, it's about earning one. Fucking hell, man. God, they got to kick you into shape, haven't they?
I walk over and say, we're thinking about fart in the wind, but it hasn't stuck yet.
she cackled
laughs.
cackling with laughter and apparently ignoring the rain. Linebreaker is looking less impressed by standing in the rain. He goes, where is this taking place?
Thornbreaker gestures towards the barn.
Okay. He starts to sort of, and he sort of starts to stride meaningfully over there with Weeping Blood, like looking at you. Goes, I've got to fucking tell you, man. Look, you've got to do some shit, right? You got to earn something cool. They call me Weeping Blood. You know, I made this whole fucking thing up about a ghost who weeps blood, and I've got people shit fucking scared of it. Anyway, and she sort of lurches after, hurries up after the other guy. And he's not saying anything, and she's just jabbering away.
When they walk away, I'm like, "That's not a bad ghost story to scare people away," and I head back inside.
As they're walking, Thornbreaker is pacing. You said his name was Linebreaker?
Yeah.
All right. And so he says, "We haven't been introduced." Thornbreaker, and he holds out his hand.
When he gets in the barn and nods, shakes hand. I said, Linebreaker, I'm the armsman of the Spear Wardens. I heard one of us is with you. Is that you are Thornbreaker, is it?
Yes.
Feather Talon, excellent. Well, I hope there's at least one cool head here.
He nods.
To be clear,
I'm just getting offended by everybody.
With at least an ounce of sense here, just in case. I don't mean to dismiss the rest of your pack, but to be clear, we're fighting a war across Cranbourne Check. For logistics, support, supply lines. If you want to pick fights with the pure, if you want to make examples of some of them, that's fine. But we don't want the balance here being upset too far. The Veil's important for everyone for reasons that you may not understand yet, but for us, it's logistics.
Understood.
He looks across and sees Prayer of Castigation. He goes, but I imagine she's probably talked your ear off about that already, and I don't particularly want to spend my time making you feel like you're being talked down to.
Thornbreaker smirks and nods.
Looks like a good enough spread. He nods. And if there's anything else?
He shakes his head no.
No, enjoy yourself.
I wouldn't go that far. On the other hand, Weeping Blood is like, on the other hand, and she sees Jack armed deep, with this deer being hacked, because he's still taking this deer apart, basically, isn't he? And saunters over, and you get this very tall girl like looming over you suddenly. Hi.
Jack is still kind of grumpy that Jonathan isn't here because he just is ready. He just wants to get to business, and he just kind of looks at her really quick and then goes back to work.
Man, a few words, the silent type. Well, at least you look like you've got a good handle which one end of the knife to jab into people's soft parts. That's good.
At that, he smiles.
I'll leave you to your butchery, I guess. Didn't know you were setting up an abattoir. Well, have fun. Wanders off, and she beelines towards Clear Stream from the Fairfax Dogs. It doesn't take long before, actually more than like 3 vehicles coming down the way. The pure convoy has arrived. The timing is clearly evident in the kind of, they don't want to end up with either side having, like, in case someone's planning trickery, they don't want one side with too few people. So all the Forsaken have turned up, and now all the pure have turned up, more or less as one. It's later than they expected to get here, because for some reason, the roads are having problems. There's water and mud, and the vehicles are, at the front is a massive, really high quality, like Land Rover kind of vehicle, splash mud you expect. Behind that is what was a much smarter looking car until it had to drive through lots of mud and water, and is now the sides are just smeared with brown. And then at the back is a big old a white van, solid. The fact it's no longer particularly white isn't much of a concern to the drivers. It's pretty much a driving brick anyway. And people start to get out. Having heard them coming, Clear Stream has made her way out of the not very exciting little party, as it were, and sauntered over towards the entrance under her umbrella, pops it down. I see the I see Trevor's arrived. as she points at people as they start to get out. Out of the front vehicle out of the front two is the Misgast representation. You see them getting out. The Land Rover, the first person to get out is the British Pakistani woman you saw. She's now wearing, appropriate clothes for the awful fucking weather, like a farm woman's sort of gear. Still manages a certain sense of style, nonetheless. But she's sort of frowning slightly as she gets out. That's Saf's Unchosen. She goes round to the back and she gets open the back of the Land Rover, and you hear the clattering and clinking of metal as someone gets out the back. They get out. They are. People are. Also, another thing is people are starting to turn to Dalu forms before the Pure got here. And some of the Dalu are turning to Dalu, not because they're trying to be threatening, but because it's like they prefer to be in it with around other elves. The guy in here was already in Dalu. There is a smell, even over the rain hammering down, of burning flesh, and you can almost hear the sizzling from this distance. As out the back gets a guy. He's stripped to the waist, and the rain is like it's coming down as there's blood slicking off him. He is wearing a massive metal muzzle, punching into him, chained to shackles around his hands, and partly linked into the claws to keep the claws out flat, and chained to a bunch of other spikes into it. It's all attached into his flesh, physically, like punched into him. And you can see glinting threads, like needles of silver, in there, basically pushed in among the things into him. And that's
so if he tries to shift.
Oh no, it's already in him.
Oh shit.
And he's walking with slow but determined, pained steps. And she goes, "I don't know who that is, but that's a fucking mind game." No, that's not Prey. I know who their Prey is. I guess you haven't been watching the news. No, that is.
No, we've been busy.
Do you know the Ivory Claws do things to themselves to try and purify themselves?
That's Dunstan.
Yeah, they want to make themselves bad at alpha wolves or some shit like that.
So some of them have already been through that. This must be one of their new recruits. He's being silver scoured. They're showing him off. It's to get in your head. I don't know who.
Well, that's going to disappoint Stormbringer.
And out the nice but now completely mud spattered car, scowling and looking tired in a looking out, bags under his eyes, scowling.
When I glance up and see that Dunstan has now gotten out of a car, I walk to the entrance of the barn covered in blood and just glare at him while I'm cleaning the knife.
So I know what my packmate's doing, and when Dunstan walks up, I was like, "You look tired. Would you care for a cup of coffee?"
Now, does he... I have a quick question. I have a quick logistic question about Dream Hunter. Do they know it's me if they've met me?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I'm going to be right back. I just got to use the bathroom really quick.
Okay. Right, we'll wait until he gets back just to cover up the rest of it then. So, because there's a few things are going to happen as well here. So, by default, the answer is no. They could figure it out, and potentially how you do it might leave some trace, and if they've got good enough occultists, they might piece it together.
Sure.
But by default, no. Now, the fact that it's Dunstan, right? The fact that last time he turned up on your pack, summoned a storm just for him, tearing wood apart, and is now standing there, slicked with blood in the doorway with his knife, is probably going to make Dunstan think that it could well be someone in this pack who is responsible. Without being biased or prejudiced about this, he might have a clue, but he won't necessarily know for certain, or he won't be like, it's you, I've seen you in my dreams, unless he has, which you don't think happened.
Okay,
now,
I'm back.
So as you come back to say you need a coffee, first thing as you go in and you say that, Saf, who is leading, got the chained leash to this guy being silver scoured, leans in close to you, and for a moment you get the sense of there is that werewolves are big badasses all the time, but you just get that sense as she leans in of this is what being under the microscope of something really scary is like for a moment. And
it's the chuckling I'm in danger moment.
She sniffed with the big heft of your scent, then just smile. It gives you a smile, like a knowing smile, and then leads her minion towards the barn. And she's got your scent. She's like, yeah, she's almost certainly gone.
Mr. Sun's chosen that Stephanie or somebody
yeah.
else?
Dunstan, however, is looking looking sour about this, and then you ask him about the fucking coffee, and he's
so when she walks away, I just go, it's nice to be appreciated.
When you ask Dunstan about the coffee, he goes, fuck off. and strides off towards the barn, sees the Stormbringer there, glowers at Stormbringer, and
I look at him as he glowers at me. I look at him as he glowers at me, and I say, "Wonderful weather we're having, isn't it?"
And he's about to say something, and you hear Sarth quite say to him, "Play nice, darling," and he shuts up.
Okay.
And she leads them
Somebody's
in,
got a leash on today.
and and you're in the barn. She walks in and she sees there's that moment of prayer of castigation, and Sunchosen look at each other, and Sunchosen gives this friendly smile and goes, "What a delight to see you again, my dear." And prayer of castigation goes, "Oh, well, it's always a good day when I see you, isn't it?" And you can just tell both nice, polite greetings are the equivalent of, "I would like to take your face off with a cheese grater, but we're not going to do that."
So as kind of a show of respect to their stations, both on our side and theirs, I'm going to offer the two of them the knife and offer them the first piece off of the deer. Obviously, they're the big bads here. We know that, they know that. So I'm kind of giving that deference to them, both the pure and the Uratha of this. You are the guests of honor, more or less. For each side, you get the first choice of the kill. So
they both look. They look to you when you say that. Their reaction isn't bad or anything. Sarth, in fact, looks genuinely surprised in a pleased way. In like a kind of, looks like she's going to say something of like, "Wow, I did not, who would have thought?" A respectful Forsaken. She doesn't say anything. Prayer glowers at her again. He gives a proper glower and starts and takes the knife from you. "Thank you, young man." Goes up.
I nod my head respectfully. Jag doesn't hate all pure, just Dunstan. Something about him got under my craw.
Now, back out, the van has now opened up, and a pile of people are coming out because most of the PR are from the galaxy. First out the door is One Hand Ash. She is. Well, we can hear you scratching your mic.
Sorry.
Rubbing against shit. One Hand Ash is wearing a waterproof, hastily grabbed a waterproof Mac over the top of more casual clothes. It's also hippie-ish clothing. And opens goes and opens the side door of the van, back door of the van, tells us to get out. She squints and slight distaste at the rain. Others come out. The first is a heavily built woman, scarred, literally down in a sort of short sleeve shirt in the weather, heavily tattooed, and the tattoos look like military tattoos. Then a guy comes out of the back who, when you look at him, you get an odd sense just looking at him, like an itch at your eyeballs. Like something's wrong just seeing this guy. Nothing seems that off in terms of what's actually in front of you. He is a lanky, for a werewolf, quite skinny guy. Balding, hair's not quite grey. Hair isn't greying, but he's not exactly. He's stood to the rigors of time, bro. He's not old though. You think middle-aged at the latest. He's wearing a rather dilapidated, shabby set of clothes. Not like a tramp's or anything, but just he hasn't changed. He hasn't bought new clothes in a long time. And he's looking around with a sort of skinny neck with an appreciative look. But just looking at him is making something in your eyeballs go like, "What?" And Clearstream goes, "That at the front is One Hand Ash, who I believe you've met before. She's their foremost right Master Flames, one of their thugs. That is the dead thing," she says, pointing at the guy.
Is he actually dead?
He died. He appears to have gotten better, but he doesn't have a name anymore.
But he's Uratha still?
As far as I'm it's very the Misgars haven't, the Gallicrows haven't exactly been forthcoming about what happened to him. He died and then he came back. He's less than he was. He's an occultist of no mean prowess, certainly, but interesting. And their newest pack member, and again out the back it's a guy, and this guy looks completely different from everyone else here. Everyone else, you're like, well, they're weird, but they're probably Wells. This guy looks like he's just wandered in from something completely different genre-wise. He is a young guy, sort of Mediterranean kind of look of skin, slightly curly hair, dashingly handsome chap. Wearing sort of casual clothes, the kind you probably see around, in a bar cruising for partners, for hookups and stuff. And he's carrying it off really well. He looks like people would swoon over him in the right environment that wasn't a storm outside an old mansion surrounded by werewolves. And while everyone else is in Dalu, this guy is just in human form, looking around going like, wow, this is really interesting, isn't it? He appears to be on a different level to everyone else here. The Gallicrows saunter up, one hand Ash scrutinizing you. I see. Nods to you. We've come. We've brought our trophy.
One hand Ash is the one that Thornbreaker was trying to get into the head of?
Yeah,
Yes.
Dan's got a thing for her.
Okay.
She gestures at
Just checking.
the heavily built woman. This is Mercy through Flames. That is the dead thing. She says that is the dead thing when pointing at the guy. Like, no one seems capable of saying what his name is. That's the dead thing. And this is Yanis. She says in that slightly tense, stressed tone of someone who's like slightly, someone who has to deal with a somewhat wayward child. He's an artist.
He's an artist.
Okay.
Jack kind of smirks at the fact that that's how he's chosen. That's how she chooses to describe him, as though there's nothing better to say about him.
When I saw this guy, I kind of just had a moment from Fight Club where Ed Norton beats the guy up, and then they're like, "Why'd you do that?" And he's like, "I wanted to destroy something beautiful."
Ash is the Mercy through Flames nods to you with some respect and some tension. Dead thing is like pottering away towards the barn already. Yanis comes up and goes, "Hi," and offers you his hand, like, whatever.
I'm gonna reach out.
Hi, I'm Yanis. I'm new into a lot of this. You're the other guys, yeah. Hey, I'm a lover, not a fighter. I'm not looking for a fight.
Like Van Damme face.
Van Damme.
Van Damme face.
Good talk. And he tries to follow the rest of his pack towards the barn. Ash is
as he walks away.
Ash is lingering slightly behind from the rest. She looks at you, says slightly more quietly, "Are we expecting a challenge from you this evening?"
Thornbreaker pipes in and says, "Why would you think so?"
It helps to clear the ground and make sure everyone's on the same page if it needs to be done.
Not for you.
She nods, apparently satisfied with that. So you have a barn full of werewolves, with the two high primal urge werewolves eyeing one another as they're standing over this deer with this knife. You have a mixture of the lines are clear between the two factions, but the lines are also between the packs. And while most of the conversation is going on between the packs aside, there's the occasional muttered acknowledgement across the lines between Pure and Forsaken, and a few sentences uttered that are longer than that as well. But it seems like there's a lot of stuff is being held off till later. And then up at the front, as staring into Saf's eyes, Prayer of Castigation jabs the knife down into one of the, into the laid out bits of viscera of the deer with a kind of clank kind of thing, and cuts and goes, and takes a big bite out of one of the things of viscera. Looks at Johnny having come and he goes, "Well, everyone's here. Shall we start?" And I think that's probably where we'll leave it tonight. I was hoping to tackle the meeting today, but it's already gone on quite. We've been at this for quite a while, so we should probably end the session there. So it looks like we will have one more session of Chapter 1, which will be entirely the meeting itself, and God knows what the fuck's going to go on this time. Now we've got the whole session for it. The setup's been done. There is a pissing down storm. There is blood. There are rotting. There are trophies. There are clear lines of antagonism laid up. There is some weird shit going on, and basically it's a powder keg of volatile werewolves crammed into one barn, in which there is also Stormbringer, who, as far as I'm aware, is basically planning to, set off the black powder at some point, at least with Dunstan. So I think that.
So I should just add, after offering the two eldest, the knife, he has not removed his eyes from Dunstan.
Mm-hmm.
And that will more or less, even when he talks to people, unless it's the two eldest, he will talk to people while staring at Dunstan. There is no doubt about the hatred right now between for Dunstan, and he's not upset with making that very clear to everyone in the room, that there is only one person he's looking to fight, and that's who it is.
Well, with that surging antagonism in mind, it's time to check off aspirations. So we'll start with Johnny. How are your aspirations looking?
Find out what a territory was left to me. I don't think I've done anything towards that. Establish ourselves at the trophy meet. I feel like, we took steps in setting it up and all this other stuff. So, and I also have learned more about the Unconquered Raven. So I don't know if I really did much.
Didn't really come up, no.
Yeah, it didn't come up. So I'm fine with that.
Okay, Thornbreaker.
Okay, my first aspiration is initiate my first Siskar against the Pure, which we did.
Obviously happened, yep.
Second one is develop a deeper connection with Jenny, which I think I did.
Yep.
Third one is earn more glory or notoriety. I don't think we really did that tonight.
Not yet. That's probably going to happen next time with the notoriety thing.
Sure.
Okay, and finally, Stormbringer.
Okay, so and this one's kind of a little bit harder. I'm not sure where I stand on it. My first aspiration is to craft a glass representation of the Unconquered Raven. We talked about just kind of like the normal household things we were doing, and I was doing glassworks, and my glassworks are focused around that until that happens. So that's up to you. I didn't do any specific rolls towards it.
That's
if you want me to throw one real quick,
no,
I can.
I'm happy for that to be a tick.
Okay. Making a deal with the Storm Spirit. At some point before the storm is over, I do have to howl, but I'm no closer to making a deal with one.
No.
However, the last one, and quite possibly my favorite, is kinking Dunstan in his proverbial teeth.
Yeah.
Which he's looking like a miserable wet dog, and everybody's kind of looking at him and maybe starting to say, like, here's Mr. High and Mighty, who's now just walking around grumbling all the time, and he just looks completely offset. So I think I'm definitely making progress towards making him on a peg specifically.
Okay, so that is going to put you at 1 XP each and 4 beats left over.
Didn't we also make a step? Technically, didn't we make a step towards fulfilling the totem's aspiration?
Yes, you did. Specifically, Thornbreaker did by bringing in the new Wolf-Blooded and making heavy progress there, and I'm gonna. That's it. That's all I'll give it for this time, I think. But yes, there'll be one tick extra. So 5 beats left over. So 1 XP each and 5 beats left over. Next time will be the finale of this story. After all, having now herded all the werewolves into one place, we get to see what happens next as the pack attempt to prove themselves to the gathered packs, discharge their grudge against Dunstan, and generally navigate the waters and learn what they can from this gathering of their people in this place with which they are still unfamiliar and to some extent alien, in an attempt to set themselves up firm foundations for the future going forwards. They've got many leads and hooks going, bringing them on after this for future stories. There are many things to look into, many troubles and many worries. But for now, the big issue is a couple of tons of very angry dog in one confined building. So we'll leave it there for today.
Poor Bard.
Thank you very much, viewers. Hope to the players for making it such a great session. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next week. We'll give you a little music play off now. If you guys have any questions, we're going to hang out and chat for a little bit. I'll answer things via text in the chat, and we will see you next time.